We're rooting for Alabama A&M. Stay tuned for the Magic City Classic.
Welcome to College Football Prime Time on ESPNU, presented by Citi. We're at Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. It's the 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. The Bulldogs of Alabama A&M take on the Hornets of Alabama State. How big is this game? Let's check out the Eastern Division standings of the SWAC. Alcorn and Jackson State on top. Alabama A&M and Alabama State bringing up the number 2 spot. And the loser most certainly will not have a spot in the championship game here in December. Hello, everyone. Charlie Neal, along with my partner, Eddie Robinson Jr., the former Alabama State and NFL linebacker. You played in this game as a player at Alabama State. How big is it for these players today?
Well, this is a huge game. I mean, the East standings are important, but these fans and alumni and the players, they want to win the Magic City Classic. 67 classics have taken place. Alabama A&M only has a 4-game lead. That shows you the intensity of this rivalry.
And when you look at this Alabama State team, they're going to start a young man, a local young man at the quarterback spot by the name of Anthony Spade. He started this game a year ago.
Anthony Spade is a local kid. He's from Bessemer, Alabama, right outside Birmingham. The biggest thing is that he knows about the history and tradition of this Magic City Classic. He has to relax, get the ball to his playmakers, but he has to also realize Alabama A&M comes into this game leading the SWAC with 28 sacks.
On the other side, when you look at Alabama A&M, you're looking at Ulysses Banks, a young man who's playing in his last Magic City Classic.
Yeah, and Ulysses Banks has scored a touchdown in the previous 3 Magic City Classics that he has played in. His senior class wants nothing more to close the deal and go out with 4 straight victories. And one of those touchdowns, a 99-yard kickoff return as a freshman. He's been big in this game since he first stepped on campus.
Well, the third member of our broadcast team is my normal Thursday night partner, Jay Walker. He's down on the sideline today, and he has a little bit more on these 2 local products we just talked about, Banks and Spade. Jay?
When you talk about the Magic City Classic, Charlie and Eddie, you all know it, and I heard you talk about tradition with the local tie here. In the SWAC, they keep it all in the family. And this game is no different. Looking at 2 of the star players for these teams, Ulysses Banks, I had an opportunity to watch him during the pregame. He's coming off a high ankle sprain, but in the pregame didn't look like it affected him at all. Look for him to come out and play his best football. On the other side, Anthony Spade is making his 2nd start of the season. For somebody only making his 2nd start of the season, he had a nice confident swagger about him, like he's played in this football game before. I think the experience of him having played in the Classic last year is going to help him out today. One other note that's going to affect both teams, the weather here is changing and the temperature's dropping quickly. Once the rain comes, these teams may have to change their game plan. I'm going to change mine. That's what this windbreaker's for. Guys, back to you.
All right, I can hear it. And earlier today, just before we got a chance to come into the stadium and do a lot of preparing for this particular contest, Eddie, yourself, along with Jay Walker, got a chance to talk to Ulysses Banks' dad, Kenny Banks. And let's hear what they had to say.
This is the calm before the storm. And right now, this is a very courageous man. This is the father of Ulysses Banks. Sir, what's it like to be the father of a star running back?
I'm blessed. I feel blessed. He worked hard for what he get. Okay, so that's good.
Now, of course, Ulysses Banks, he went to Parker High School, which is right down the street from Legion Field here in Birmingham. Why didn't he go to Alabama State?
Well, I played at A&M, so, kept up with the tradition.
They definitely keep it in the tradition, in the family, down here in the SWAC territory. Now, we know you want your son to play very well, but this is the Magic City Classic. There's some people behind you could care less about Alabama A&M Bulldog football. If I was you, I'd get up out of here. They're going to chase you out of here.
All right.
Kenny Banks, he's hoping his son has a great day. Talked to Ulysses personally, myself, down on the field. He says, I want to be the most valuable player of this game. This is my last one. As you said, Eddie, he scored a touchdown in every game. He's had 2 rushing touchdowns. He's had 1 on a kickoff return. The only thing he hasn't scored was on a receiving touchdown, so maybe he'll get one of those today.
I tell you what, some kids just know how to step up and play big in big games, and that's Ulysses Banks, and he's been doing it ever since he's been a freshman.
As you look at Anthony Jones on the sideline, there's his counterpart on the other side of the field, one of your collegiate teammates, Reggie Barlow, 3rd season as the head man in Montgomery, Alabama. And look at the weather forecast. It rained all morning long, stopped just before the parade this morning, then rained afterward. But the skies still overcast. We may have some rain before this one's over, but right now, everything is calm. And there you see one of the deep men for Alabama A&M to return this kick, and that is Thomas Harris. He's a very dangerous return man for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, now Thomas Harris, he's the leading wide receiver for Alabama A&M, a very talented player. He only has 1 return on the year. He tells you the magnitude of this big game.
And it comes to one of the up men at about the 21, 22-yard line. A little running room to the near side, and finally run out of bounds or down there on this near sideline. But a good return to start this one of 21 yards on the return by Cardarius Lacey, stopped by Marcus Solomon. It'll be first down and 10 for A&M. Their first possession, in case you just joined us, the ball at their own 43-yard line. Deontay Mason is getting the start at the quarterback spot, a freshman, true first freshman from Nashville, Tennessee's Pearl Cone High. They had started Kevin Atkins through most of this contest. Here's a pass wide open down the middle. First pass may go for 6. It is touchdown. Alabama A&M 57 yards to Thomas Harris.
Well, so much for a freshman nerves. This guy just steps into the game like he's riding a bicycle. That was a great throw and catch, and Alabama A&M has the first score in this game.
Jay.
Hey, I'll tell you something. Even before Thomas Harris caught that first touchdown, I was impressed with this young man. You mentioned he was one of the return men on the kickoff. When the ball did not go deep, he went up there and made a great block to set up that return. He's a complete football player, and he's showing it early in this contest.
8 seconds off the clock, and we have a 7-0 or 6-0 ball game already. And here's Jeremy Lacia for the point after. It's up. And it is good. 7-0 the score here in Birmingham at Legion Field. 14:42 remaining in the first quarter. 7-0 A&M.
Well, you have quarterback Dante Mason. They have a no-back situation. Is this what you want to do? You want to get your best receiver, Thomas Harris, mismatched with the linebacker. They're going to win that matchup every time. They've been doing that, moving him in position to get him the ball. And this time the young freshman quarterback Dante Mason took advantage of it.
And for Harris, that is his 5th reception of a touchdown this year. For Deontay Mason, that is his 3rd passing touchdown of the season. And there you see, when you talk about Thomas Harris, the senior out of Alexander City, Alabama, they say he is, and Coach, this comes from Coach Anthony Jones, he is their Michael Jordan as far as A&M is concerned. Well, everybody else is Bill Cartwright.
Well, Jay will tell you, I mean, what happened on that play was you have number 81 Thomas Harris. Instead of him playing the wide receiver position, you put him in the slot. You get a one-on-one matchup with a linebacker. Jay, who's the quarterback going to throw to in that situation?
Oh, you got to go to the best matchup. It's like playing point guard. Give me Michael Jordan, like he said. You got Michael Jordan in a mismatch on the big man. You take it. Give credit to the offensive coordinator. Schematically, they moved Thomas Harris around so they could put him in the slot and find creative ways to get him the football. Good job by Coach Jones and staff.
Now Alabama A&M kicking off at the 20-yard line. They're coming back up the field, and they get it out to about the 35-yard line.
On the return for ASU.
And there you see on the return, Maurice Tate, about a 15-yard return. And the ball will be spotted for Alabama State. Let's see, they've just gotten shell-shocked on the first play of the ball game. They're on the offensive end of the football for the first time today at their own 36. And there you see Anthony Spate, the young man, hometown, right here, product, getting his start for the 2nd straight year in this contest, the Magic City Classic. First down and 10. Traylor is the back behind him. He hands off to Traylor, and Traylor has nowhere to really run. As you look at the starting lineups, let's check out, Eddie, our impact players.
Yeah, Nick Andrews, he's a big play wide receiver, 2nd in the SWAC for receptions. And also Ramon Traylor, who we just saw. He had a big game in this Magic City Classic last year. And Adrian Hardy, he's a treat at the linebacker position. 7.9 tackles and a very energized player on defense.
So it is 2nd down. Traylor, the lone setback beside his quarterback Spate. Traylor out of Memphis, Tennessee, has already graduated, has his degree. Pass on the near side to Nick Andrews, the physical education major, and they're calling it a completion. The starting lineups at the top of your screen for the offense for Alabama A&M. Tim Moore is the center, criminal justice major. Lionel Mapp, Bruce Beal at the right tackle out of St. John, Vinnie High in St. Louis. It is 3rd down now. 3rd and 3. 40% on 3rd down conversions for Alabama State this season. Little swing pass over the middle is complete to Dominguez coming out of the backfield. And this is a kid, Devin Dominguez, which is so interesting story about him is he actually is a 3rd string quarterback on this Alabama State team, but he's such a great athlete. They put him in and let him catch some passes, right, Jay? Guess Jay can't hear me.
Yeah, but it was the same type of situation. You put a number 12, a guy that's a hybrid type of player, you put him in the slot. They got the one-on-one matchup once again with the linebacker.
Ball across midfield for Alabama State at the 49 of Alabama A&M. Play action now. Spate rolling under a little pressure. Now he's just going to throw this one away. He's just letting that one go. He was trying to save the day rather than getting sacked. Big number 50 was coming in there defensively, applying the pressure, and that was Marcel Owens, who's getting the start of the defensive end today. As you look at Reggie Barlow in place of Jeremy Maddox, the normal starter, who is being disciplined. As you look at the Magic City Classic history, it actually began in 1940, played at Legion Field here since 46, and A&M leads the series 34-30-3. Actually, they started playing each other in 1924. This is actually the 73rd time they met, but only the 68th in the Magic City Classic. As Traylor has nowhere to run that time, and he is brought down by big number 90, Frank Kearse, the junior out of Savannah, Georgia.
And that's what Alabama A&M likes to do. They're very high in the tackle for loss. You can see he just disposes of the offensive guard and makes the play in the backfield. They have a fast, quick, undersized defensive line, and they make big plays behind your line of scrimmage.
And what they're also starting to do is crowd that line of scrimmage. You see nobody in the secondary is further than 9 yards when the ball snaps, so they're trying to disguise and really control the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 12. Pass over the middle, batted in the air, almost intercepted. Incomplete. 4th down for Alabama State. Willie Fuller had his hands on it and almost coming up with the INT. As you look at it once again.
Yeah, Alabama State, this is the matchup they want. You get number 12, Dominguez, on the linebacker, number 51, Willie Fuller. The pass was a little bit behind the receiver, but give number 51, Willie Fuller, credit for making a big play.
High snap, pulled down. Alabama State's punter, Andrew Lyons, lets it go. Fair catch made right at the 20-yard line after a 32-yard punt. No return. 7-0 our score. 11:54. That's the time remaining here. First quarter in Birmingham.
Years of culture and tradition have passed through the hands of those before us. It is now our duty to honor the heritage given to us and uphold it for those next in line.
We on top, never underrated. We on top, never underrated.
We will take the field, and we will be tomorrow's legends. We are the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
And time is presented by City. City never sleeps. 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. They started tailgating here, Eddie, on Wednesday. I mean, they've got the ribs, the chicken, the shrimp, you name it, the catfish, the gumbo, the hot dogs, the turkeys.
A little bit of everything, fried pork butt, all of that stuff. And they really should just open this thing up Saturday to Saturday and make it a full week-long event.
You got to get here early, too. There's as many people outside tailgating as there are inside the stadium. 1st down and 10, Alabama A&M. 2nd possession. First play, 8 seconds into the game. They were on the scoreboard on a 57-yard pass from the quarterback, Deontay Mason, to Thomas Harris. This time, Ulysses Banks gets his first carry of the ball game, and he picks up 5 to the 25.
Charlie and Eddie, one of the things I was in the huddle for Alabama State when they were talking to the defense, and surprisingly what happened was the coach said, hey, don't worry about Alabama A&M throwing the football. They're going to do what they want to do, what they do, and that's run the football. I think that's kind of risky. So they're saying that they're not even concerned with the passing game because they believe Alabama A&M is going to go back to just running Ulysses Banks.
And Ulysses Banks has 3 100-yard games to his credit already this season. The only back in the SWAC with 300 100-yard gains this year. It is 2nd and 5. And here's the quarterback on the keeper. He falls down after a 4-yard gain. Man there defensively for Rashard Johnson as you look at the impact players for Alabama A&M.
Yeah, you just talked about Ulysses Banks. This kid is averaging over 100 yards per game. And we saw Tommy Harris, of course, with that big touchdown pass down the middle of the Alabama State defense. And another guy, Jeremy Maddox. This guy's a sensational pass rusher, and he can really get it done defensively for the Bulldogs.
4th in the conference in 3rd down conversions. Alabama A&M at 36% working from the eye. Up back in the eyes, Roger Smith. Ulysses Banks, the second back. Banks has it. He will not get the first down. Brought down and a flag goes down. Number 34 was there. Byron Powell, the middle linebacker, senior out of Carver High, Montgomery. We may have a false start.
Prior to the snap, false start on 666 on the offense. It'll be a 5-yard penalty. Remaining 3rd down.
Harold Cooper's our referee. And so a penalty kind of maybe saved the day because at least they get. Yeah.
It's not too many times when you want the offensive lineman to get a penalty, but they actually stopped them on the 3rd and 1. So now that you back them up with that penalty, it was before the snap, you have another chance for a 3rd down conversion.
Now working from the gun. Deontay Mason, true freshman, Nashville, Tennessee. He's thrown 3 touchdown passes this year, has 1 in this game already. Here's Ulysses Banks trying to get to the first down marker, will not get there. He will be a yard shy again. He gained about 6 yards or 5 yards, but he's still going to be a yard shy.
And Jay, this is what the Alabama State defensive coaches are talking about. A 3rd and 6 play, a very conservative call. Give the ball to Ulysses Banks. They're going to let him dominate and dictate the pace of this game. They're not going to let the freshman quarterback make a big mistake or put him in a bad situation.
And 3rd down and 6 is one of those down and distances where you're going to show who you are. If you're a passing team, you're definitely throwing the ball. And if you're a running team and you're kind of conservative, you're going to do like they just did, run the football.
Nick Andrews deep to receive this punt. And it's not going to be returned as it goes out of bounds at the 36-yard line. A 36-yard punt for Alabama A&M's Chance Wilson. 7-0 our score here. We're in the first quarter. 9:12 remaining.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little obsessive. My kids call me the shredder because every bill I get goes right in my
inbox, not my mailbox. I pay for everything online so I can get these text messages. They're called spending alerts. I feel more in control.
Now they could just come up with chocolate alerts.
That'd be great.
At Citi, we know everyone's talking about keeping money safe. And we've got lots of ways to help, like spending alerts. Because when your money's safe, your mind's at ease. That's why Citi never sleeps.
Are nasty drafts forcing you to crank up the heat? Heating bills are reported to increase dramatically, causing your money to literally fly out the door. With Twin Draft Guard's double-sided insulated design, your utility bills can be reduced by up to 30%. Watch. Air seeps under the door, but Twin Draft Guard creates an airtight seal. It's adjustable, slides under any door or window. Cut the length you need. Cover and slide onto the door for a draft-proof seal. Twin Draft Guard seals any gap on any floor, even carpet. Use on windows for an airtight seal. Block wind and snow. Insulate garages and basements. Seal in air conditioning. Twin Draft Guard is only $19.99. Call now and we'll double the offer. If it doesn't pay for itself the very first month, send it back for a refund. As a free gift, get the over-the-door ceramic hook. Absolutely free. You get it all, just $19.99.
Call 1-800-470-5929. Order now and you'll get 2 double-sided Twin Draft Guards and the free bonus over-the-door hanger for just $19.99. Call 1-800-470-5929 or go to twindraftguard.com.
7-0 our score here in Birmingham, Alabama. And just before the contest, Eddie Robinson, Jay Walker competed in a little contest outside the stadium. Let's see what that was all about.
Last time I beat him,
I got to escape. All right, now, what'd you think was going to happen? Come on now. Quarterback, linebacker. I told you I had an unfair advantage. But at the end of the day, I just don't lose, E-Rob. I haven't lost since like 9th grade or something like that.
Well, the guy sets me up, and he wants to have a game where you're throwing the football. You saw my old left-handed throw. I'm better at hitting quarterbacks. Then he even moved the table back and made the throw longer. I didn't have a chance.
Oh, you did hit him.
But I went back to my instincts. When
I saw that.
Quarterback's throwing the ball, and you blitz him and you knock him out of the pocket.
It is first down and 10, Alabama State. They trail 7-0 in the ball game. Back to pass to Spate. Now he has a little running rope. Decides he's going to take off. Picks up 5 and about that's up to the 45-yard line. Gets about 9 yards on the run before it's finally brought down by Brian Christian. Defensively, defensive end number 95, junior out of Enterprise, Alabama.
Now, Spate's a pretty talented quarterback. He played extremely well last week. He threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. They have a lot of confidence in this guy. He wasn't a starter at the beginning of the year. Chris Mitchell had that bad ankle. He couldn't go today. But you're coming in with a guy that has experience because he started in this game and played quite some time last year against Alabama A&M.
He was 13 of 26, 130 yards, along with 2 touchdowns, but he was intercepted 4 times in the contest. We're going to get a false start. Right guard, number 74, Lionel Mapp, moved a little bit prematurely. Harold Cooper.
Prior to the snap, false start on 74 in the white, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
This is a team that's 3rd in the conference in penalties, 3rd most penalized team in the conference. That is Alabama State, averaging just about 82 yards in penalties per contest. So it'll be second down, 2nd and 6. Little pump fake going upstairs, trying to get it to Nick Andrews, and a flag goes down. It's going to be pass interference, and it's probably going to be whistled against Chris Foch, the cornerback, junior out of Pleasant Grove High here in Birmingham.
Well,
number
the field
24.
judges, he's calling a tight game because that was a little bit of pushing and shoving
on
back
both
and
sides.
forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when the defensive back gets his head around.
On the defense, number 24 in the white, 15 yards on the previous spot, automatic, first down.
Not a good call.
Yeah, I think that's one where you got to give Chris Foch an opportunity to catch the football. He did do a little hand jostling, but at the same time, he got his head around and he was trying to make a play on the football.
One of the things that we know Reggie Barlow and Richard Moncrief, the offensive coordinator, is talking about is because of the pressure that A&M brings defensively, they've got to do a good job of protecting their quarterback, Anthony Spate. Spate looked like a busted play there, and he's not going to get anything out of that. That was a first down play. He loses a yard on it. And coming in was Afu Okason, the middle linebacker, number 49, leading tackler on this team.
Alabama State, they practiced this week with the band actually at practice. And of course, when the band comes to practice, what happens? The students come to practice. So he said it was actually a real festive atmosphere, and they got some real good work trying to replicate the crowd and the noise in this game.
And you know, you talk about the distractions. Not only do you have crowd distraction, but you got star power here on the sidelines. You know, Steve Harvey's behind me. When you see Steve Harvey walking around, all the A&M players, they saw him too, and they turned around to take a look at him. So he's got the entourage all right there, all the real dressed sharp men over there.
Yeah.
So distractions everywhere in this contest, but hey, that's the Magic City Classic, right?
That's the Magic City Classic, and Alabama State decides they're going to call a timeout, their first timeout of the first half. They trail in the ball game by a score of 7-0. We'll be back here at Legion Field with more in a moment.
All righty now. There's a lot of things going on here at the Magic City Classic, and we talked about some of the things I did. Well, my buddy E-Rob, he participated in all the festivities as well, too.
Nationwide, December 11.
Eddie, he said that his team was going to win. He was leading the band. He always wanted to be a drum major, and there you were, a drum major today in the parade, the Magic City Classic Parade.
I tell you what, Charlie, I'm from New Orleans where the band is big. You know, I wanted to play a trumpet like Louis Armstrong, and I couldn't, so I got stuck with playing football. It was nothing more than I had. It was pure enjoyment leading the mighty marching Hornets led by James Oliver in the Magic City Classic Parade.
And there you see Steve Harvey, one of the celebrities Jay just mentioned, on hand. He's participated in the parade, as did Tom Joyner. So everybody's in the house. We're up here where it's nice and warm and dry, and they're down there where it's nice and drive.
I played in this game from 88 to 91, and I tell you what, Charlie, this thing gets bigger and bigger. It grows every year. It's almost like a week-long celebration. You have a parade. You have celebrities. It's almost impossible to understand how the coaches can keep these kids focused on a football game.
It is 2nd down 11. Backs split behind with the quarterback Solomon Lacey along with Traylor. Here's Spate looking upstairs, has a man out there, and it is complete to Darius Mathis, the junior out of Salem High in Conyers, Georgia, for a first down to the 25, 21 yards on the play.
Now the coaches from Alabama State, they feel like if they give Spate protection where he can step up and make throws, that he can complete passes to number 7 Darius Mathis and also Nick Andrews. They feel like their wide receivers can make big plays against this A&M defense if they get protection like they did on that play.
And you see he's caught passes in 25 straight games, 26 catch for him this year, 93rd catch of his career. This time it's Traylor, and Traylor is really walloped there. Oh man, coming in for the kill that time was Larry Lumpkin. There you see number 55 coming in to make the stop.
Yeah, old number double nickel 55 is stepping up right in the middle of the defense, and that's an old knock 'em back right there. That's how you hit them right in the middle of the sternum and you drive those legs. That's a big play by that A&M defense, and they pride themselves on playing great aggressive defense at Alabama A&M.
Can you have a more textbook tackle than you just saw right there?
Not at all.
That's how you draw it up in training camp, Jay.
Lumpkin, a freshman out of Grand Bay, Alabama, 3rd leading tackler on this team, and he came up with a big stop that time. Here's Spate going to the air, a fade into the end zone, man, there, touchdown, Nick Andrews. 25-yard pass play. Andrews, 4th touchdown reception for him this season.
Right when that play happened, I'm down here on the A&M sideline, and the defensive coaches were screaming during the pre-snap, who's got number 8? Who's got number 8? They didn't have number 8.
So Andrews puts 6 on the board. Here's Jake King for the point after, and this one is good, and we're all tied up with 5:53 to go here in the first quarter. Both teams striking by way of the air early on.
We talked about getting protection. Anthony Spate took a big hit on that play, but he was still able to throw the deep ball to number 8 Nick Andrews, and they feel like they have the speed at the wide receiver position to make big plays against this A&M defense.
You don't mind getting hit for touchdown. You know, I'll stand tall in the pocket if I know I can get a touchdown in the stat column, but you just mind getting hit on those incompletions. That's what hurts.
Well, one thing when you talk to defensive coordinator Bronski Towns for Alabama A&M, he said, you know what, we may have some guys running around deep in the secondary. It may be a guy open here or there, but we feel like the pressure on the quarterback will disguise all of that. That time, give Spate credit for standing there under the pressure, taking a big hit, and still throwing the touchdown.
We're in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm Charlie Neal along with Eddie Robinson Jr. and Jay Walker, and this is the 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. Alabama A&M has won the last 4 Magic City Classics. The longest winning streak in the Magic City Classic held by Alabama A&M, and that was a 7-year streak as the ball goes out of bounds and a penalty marker comes out, and that came between 60 and 66. Don't forget, log on to your Facebook today, search ESPNU, become a fan, post your best tailgating photos, and if you were here in Birmingham, you could get a lot of great tailgating photos and comments, and we may even use them on Inside the Polls Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on ESPNU in HD. Hal Cooper.
Out of bounds. Ball was placed on the 40. First down.
So Alabama A&M will get the ball at their own 40-yard line.
Charlie, you're talking about tailgating that doesn't end. Of course, when this ball game ends around 5:30 or 6 p.m., it's not time to go home or go back to your home.
Get out of here maybe midnight.
That's when the tailgating actually starts. So I may go out there with my digital camera and put some photos on Facebook, man.
Why not? From their own 40-yard line, 3rd possession of the afternoon for Alabama A&M. It's all tied at 7 apiece. Here's Deontay Mason. Back to pass on first down, swings it out in the backfield, and it's caught On the far side, a gain, maybe not even a gain, maybe back to the line of scrimmage. And that's all it's going to be for Tony Green as he stopped by Adrian Hardy. Hardy making the stop defensively.
Adrian Hardy, number 53, he's the Energizer Bunny for this Alabama State defense. This guy is all over the field. He plays big with a lot of enthusiasm. When he plays well and is making big plays, the rest of the defense follows his lead.
They call him the quarterback of the defense. It'll be 2nd down and 10. No gain on that last play to Green. Roger Smith, the up back, Ulysses Banks behind his quarterback. Here's a little flanker screen, tried to get it out to Harris, and that's going to be incomplete. It was hit by one of the defensive linemen as Mason tried to get it out in the flat. Don't forget, coverage of the FIFA U17 World Cup continues on ESPNU Sunday morning as the United States takes on the United Arab Emirates. FIFA U17 World Cup on ESPNU Sunday at 9:45 a.m. Eastern. For more information, log on ESPNSoccerNet.com.
This is a situation that the Alabama A&M offense doesn't want to be in. 3rd and 10 with a young freshman quarterback.
Yeah, this is a team that's 4th in the conference in 3rd down conversions at 36%. Back to pass, has some running room now. Decides to pass it in the middle of the field and has it complete to Harris. 1st down, Alabama A&M. He had room to run, decided to pick it up, and that's a great credit to him. And you would appreciate that, Jay, because he could have taken off and run, but he had the presence of mind to pick up the receiver.
Well, this is exactly what Coach Anthony Jones talked about. This is what he likes about this young kid, Dante Mason, is that he keeps his eyes downfield. He used his feet to buy time, but then still complete the 3rd down pass for the 1st down.
23 yards on that pass play. A couple of receptions already for Thomas Harris, including a touchdown pass. Here's another one out in the flat. He has it complete to the 31-yard line. And on the reception that time, number 80 for Alabama A&M, and that is Torrey Smith, the 5'11" freshman from Birmingham, Alabama.
A&M look like they're going to change the pace of the game. They're going with a no-huddle offense and change the tempo just a little.
Empty backfield this time.
It's the same formation that they scored the touchdown on early in the 1st quarter.
First play of the game. And now they keep it on the ground, and the quarterback runs with it and should have enough for 1st down. Just look at the quarterback, Dante Mason, 13 yards on that run.
Hey, great disguise of the chess game from the Alabama A&M offensive coordinator. You get in the same formation that you scored a touchdown of, no backs in the backfield, but then you run a quarterback draw. Everyone's thinking pass, and he makes a big play with his legs.
Cedric Pearl is the offensive coordinator for Alabama A&M. One of the things that they were concerned about is protecting the football. They had 7 turnovers in their last 2 ball games. That is Alabama A&M. They came out on the losing end of both of those contests. This time it's Ulysses Banks off the right side. Not much running room there. Brought down immediately by number 22, Rashard Johnson, the strong safety of preseason 1st team all-conference selection.
You talk about the turnovers, Charlie. Alabama A&M is -5 in turnover margin. I can't remember the last time I've covered a game where Alabama A&M Coach Jones' team has been negative in the turnover margin. They're not creating a lot defensively, and they're giving up too many on the offensive side of the ball.
2nd and 7. Ulysses Banks cuts it back inside. Flag goes down in the vicinity of holding, even though he gets the ball down to the 4-yard line, but it looks like it may be coming back. And it is holding against A&M. This is a team that's 2nd least penalized team in the SWAC, only averaging 62 yards a game. Alcorn is the least penalized team in the conference.
Holding on the offense, number 66, 10 yards from the replay spot. Replay, 2nd down.
That's the junior guard, Russell Jackson, out of Riverdale High in Atlanta. Look at Anthony Jones, has a Super Bowl ring to his credit. Played with the Washington Redskins. This is his 8th year as the head coach. He's had just one losing season since coming here to Huntsville, Alabama, and that was a year ago when his team went 5-7.
Of course, also he led Alabama A&M to their first and only SWAC championship title in 2006. So he's been doing a very good job since he came to Huntsville, Alabama.
And they've been in the championship game, what, 4 times? Here's the quarterback with some room again. Decides he's going to keep it. He faked the pass that time and decided he was going to run it himself. He had a man out there he could have thrown it to, but changed his mind and decided that was Lacey, and changed his mind, or Rashad Johnson, that he was going to run it.
And Charlie, I'm going to have to agree with Jay. This kid shows a lot of moxie. I mean, he's a very cool guy. I mean, he's able to fake the pass down the field, soften up those defenders, and then tuck it and run and get those extra yards. He's not playing like a nervous freshman.
The coaches really alluded to that too. They said we like when he decides to run, he keeps his vision downfield. So he's not running scared like most freshmen do. He's actually running to create time and still keeping his vision downfield. That's a very good trait to have.
On 3rd and 9, little screen to the near side, has some running room. Not being able to get up a full head of steam was Ulysses Banks. He tried, but big number 53, Adrian Hardy, the senior out of Selma, Alabama, the leading tackler, wouldn't let him get away.
Oh, this play had touchdown written all over it. But look, you have the stumble by Ulysses Banks, and then also the effort play by number 53, Adrian Hardy, to run him down. When I first saw that play set up, I thought for sure the Bulldogs were in the end zone.
28-yard field goal by Jeremy Lacia. He's 9 of 12 in field goals this year. His longest was a 48-yarder. He has not had any blocked so far this season. Preseason first-team all-conference selection senior out of Ventura, California. This will be from 28 yards out. It is not going to make it. It is blocked. I just jinxed him. I said he hadn't had one blocked all year.
That's a huge play for Alabama State, blocking that field goal, keeping points off the board, and so they wouldn't foul behind.
He has had 5 blocked over his career. That was his 6th career block, but this was the first one this season.
What a great job by Alabama State, dipping and coming around the corner and getting the hand on the football, and also not roughing the kicker.
Maslin, number 32, Donovan, the sophomore out of Jacksonville, Florida's ranked high, was the man who got his hands on it. So now Alabama State with the ball at their own 20-yard line, keeping it on the ground, and again Traylor on the carry. Ramad Traylor. Interesting story for Ramad. They say this young man is a great role model. As you look at Okeson right there, number 49, just had a little baby girl born in the last 3 weeks by the name of Trinity. And you look there at Okeson. First quarter under the belt. All tied at 7 in Birmingham. And here in Birmingham, as the Magic City Classic celebrates its 68th year, a lot of places to eat. If you want something to eat, you have a variety of choices. As you can see, funnel cake, fried fish, corn dogs, Jamaican style Polish sausage, whiting fish, and of course Mitchell's barbecue. What's Jay doing? He's probably out eating somewhere. How about it, Jay?
Sure he is. All right, fellas, I'm having the most fun ever. Look what I got my hands on. Oh, this is off the chain right here. I get to fire, and this thing is loaded. Come on, let's go. Give me another one. Oh, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I got to get me one of these right here. Wait, look. Oh, man, what a rush. What a rush. Come on, let's go. Let's go. I'm hot. I'm on fire. Who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants it? Can I do it like this?
Hey,
no, you don't want to hurt anybody.
45-degree angle, Jay. 45-degree angle.
All right, we're playing ball once again. Now with the ball is Alabama State. It is 2nd down and 9 as we start the second quarter here in Birmingham, Alabama. Little swing pass, and this was batted in the air and caught behind the line of scrimmage by Mathis, and he's going to lose yards all the way back inside the 15 to about the 14-yard line, and it was Brian Christian who created havoc on that one.
Alabama State trying to get the quick wide receiver screen, but just a great job by the A&M defender reacting and tipping the ball in the air. And Mathis probably would have done better just knocking the ball down.
So it brings up a 3rd down and long. It'll be 3rd about 20.
You're talking about defensive coordinator Bronsky Towns, 3rd and long.
You make it 3rd. Yeah, 3rd and 16.
With the blitz.
3rd down and 16. I formation. Not much running room there as they keep it on the ground with Jermaine Priere. He made the carry and to bring up a 4th down as he didn't gain anything. Got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. So they'll bring up a punting situation as Maddox in the lineup right now, who didn't start the game. He was disciplined, and we got Marcel Owens to start in that defensive end spot for the start of Jeremy Maddox. Violation of team rules, a little something. He didn't do what he's supposed to do this week. So Bronsky Towns decided to sit him down to start the game, but he's in there now. He said, I'm not crazy. He's not going to sit on the bench long.
Well, you teach him a quick lesson. You know, you have to look at the bigger picture here. But, you know, these kids, I mean, they make mistakes. They're young men.
And the punt. Fielded right at the 46-yard line. It's a little running room up to the 40-yard line. Or Harris, the receiver, who has a touchdown, a 41-yard punt, but a 14-yard return. Jay, what do you have for us down there?
All right, Charlie, we talked about everything going on. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Now I got one of my favorite talk show hosts to listen to. You made a prediction here. Who's going to win this game?
Alabama, baby. Alabama all the way. Watch what I tell you.
Now, this is your very first Magic City Classic. Yeah. Tell me what you think about it so far.
It's amazing. I couldn't believe the size of the crowds. The tailgating, the number of RVs here, it looks like a NASCAR event in Brown.
Yeah. So what's your favorite entree? What have you enjoyed eating the most down here?
Well, there was a booth outside called the Fat Combo. You get fried fish, fried shrimp, and fried chicken all in one basket.
And you get a hospital bill to go with that too?
You get a hospital bill, you get a trip to the hospital, you get a lot of stuff happening, man. But it tastes good, but it's not healthy.
Well, thank you for all you do, and enjoy your Magic City Classic. Steve Harvey, everybody, enjoying the Classic.
All right, Steve. You said Alabama's going to win, right?
It's a good prediction.
Yeah,
of course,
you can't go wrong that way.
Happy.
You can't go wrong that way. It'll be a 2nd down and 10 facing Alabama A&M. Ball in great field position at the 40 of Alabama State. Empty backfield for the quarterback, Deontay Mason. Freshman making his start today. First Magic City Classic has a complete and out of bounds on the near side is Kadarius Lacey. He's another freshman out of Calera, Alabama, Calera High. So they've kind of shut down the running game with Ulysses Banks and Tony Green. So now what they've done, Cedric Pearl and Anthony Jones has decided to go with the passing game.
Well, I'll tell you what, because you have a young freshman, number 11, in Dante Mason, and that's showing that he has a comfort level in making the right decisions in the pocket. If no one's open downfield, he's doing a good job of making a decision on when I should run, when I should scramble, and then dump the ball off for a big play downfield.
3rd down and 7 facing Alabama A&M. Going up top again. There's a man there, and there's a flag. Now, who is this on? This one there intended for Thomas Harris. Defending was Preston Hale, number 3, the junior out of Chandler, Arizona. Who is this on?
Yeah, they're trying to go up top to Anthony Mitchell, and this is a tough call. It's kind of you pick them. Both the receiver and the DB got tangled up. We'll have to wait on the call. Look like that arm bar by the defender may give him the penalty.
Anthony Mitchell, the intended receiver, senior at Oxford, Mississippi. And they're going to move the ball down the field.
On the defense, number 3, 15 yards on the previous spot. Automatic. First down.
Preston Hale guilty of the infraction defensively.
Yeah, and I like that call because he used the left arm to impede the progress of the wide receiver. Even though he did get his head around and look for the ball, you can't use that off arm to stop the receiver's progress.
And we always say, Eddie, what's the toughest pass to defend? An underthrown ball, and that ball was underthrown on the inside. DB was in great position, but because of the throw, he got called for the penalty.
Out of Quarterback. This was a design quarterback keeper, but Alabama State was right there to make sure it didn't get ahead of steam. Big number 97, Derek Johnson, sophomore out of Scottsboro, Alabama, was there to make the stop defensively. And don't forget, Tuesday night, ESPNU serves sets and spikes coverage of women's college volleyball. It's the Alabama A&M Bulldogs facing the Tigers of Jackson State University as women's college volleyball on ESPNU. Comes your way Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. More information, log on to ESPNU.com. It'll be a second down facing Alabama A&M. 2nd and 15 after a loss of 5 on the last one. That's a short pass, almost intercepted. Should have been in and out of the hands of Preston Hale. He could have atoned for that pass interference penalty on that one.
That's defensive coordinator. His in his first year, Joe Nixon. And when you dial a right call up defensive coordinator, you want the players to make the play. He had it right in his numbers, but he just couldn't make the catch. You just have to relax and seize the moment. It was an easy play, but he couldn't make the layup.
That's Joe Nixon in his first year as the head coach. I should say a defensive coordinator. Quarterback has some running room. Flag is down. This is going to be holding. And even though the first down was gained, it's going to come back.
You know what will happen here? We know that Alabama A&M likes to run the football with conservative play calling. And once you have quarterbacks that's almost throwing interception and the line starts getting holding penalty, look for Alabama A&M to reel in the offense a little bit and just start running the football, because that's what they like to do, period.
Here you can see the defensive line stunned by Alabama State. They run across, and that movement side to side, those big guys, they have trouble sliding those feet left to right. That's how they drew that hold.
6 to 6, 10-yard penalty for the previous spot. Replay, 3rd down.
Second holding penalty on Russell Jackson today. And we were talking about the defensive coordinator, Joe Nixon. One of the things that Reggie Barlow did, he terminated Tony Pierce, who had been the defensive coordinator for Alabama State and for Nixon, and that 3-4 defense that Joe Nixon likes to bring in. They figure he has more athletic and speedy players in that 3-4 defense than the 4-3. Pass near side, complete, still on his feet, and run out of bounds is Quentin Carlock, the junior out of Thurgood Marshall High in Houston, Texas. He's down to the 30-yard line. I'm marking it about the 29.
Charlie, you talk about that 3-4 defense. They're able to get more athletes on the field. They feel like they have more undersized guys in that 200 to 225-pound range, like a 53 Adrian Hardy, and also 34 Byron Powell. They like to get those type of players on the field because they don't have the big defensive linemen that can stuff it up there in the 4-man front.
Second punt of the day for Chance Wilson, the freshman out of Huntsville, Alabama. He replaces Rashawn Kyler from a year ago. This one, he's in the end zone. It was a great effort by that young man, but he was in the wrong place. He was across the goal line. That was Corey Morrison. We'll be back here to Birmingham. It's all tied at 7 apiece in the 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. Some of the festivities going on. Alabama A&M, Miss Alabama A&M. Dominique Bradford. There's the parade taking place early this morning. Our Eddie Robinson had a chance to be a drum major with the Alabama State Mighty Marching Hornets.
I mean, this is just a great game. I mean, I played in this game, Charlie, for 4 years. I didn't realize all of this stuff was going on. But you have the marching maroon and white band of Alabama A&M, the mighty marching Hornets of Alabama State. They get up early in the morning, rain or shine. They have a great parade. The kids were out. It's just a great atmosphere, the tailgating and everything. If you could make one HBCU game a year, I think this is the one I would want to come to.
Alabama State now with the ball, first down and 10. One of the things in talking to Reggie Barlow, and we're talking about this season, even though they come into this game 4-3, he thought at this juncture of the year they'd be at least 5-2, and the most disappointing loss he felt was the one to Mississippi Valley. They played that game in Chicago, lost by 7 points, 10-3. They just missed tying it on the game's final play with Mitchell trying to hit Childers with the pass, and he just couldn't bring it in. That would have tied it up as they keep the ball on the ground. They turn to the right side and they run the ball. Craig Freeman on the carry, number 25, senior out of Nashville, Tennessee. Let's look at the quarterback pressure.
Yeah, with Anthony Spate, this is what he's going to have to get used to. If you want to throw the football, this Alabama A&M defense, they feel like they stop pass plays by attacking the quarterback. And that's what they're going to do repeatedly.
We saw Craig Freeman on the carry. That's his first carry of the ball game. Psychology major, averaging 4.1 yards per carry. Picks up a pretty good bit of real estate, 7 yards on that run. Here's Spate under a little pressure, slides down, and he has the first down across the 30. Or right at the 30-yard line is where they're going to mark it, but it's enough for a first down and for them to move the chains. You know, he's only been sacked 17 times. That is their quarterbacks of Alabama State this season.
And that's one of the things that's the interesting story in this game, because Alabama A&M and that defense, they lead the SWAC with 28 sacks. And that's what they do. They put pressure on the quarterbacks. They have small, undersized defensive linemen like Jeremy Maddox, number 95, Brian Christian, and they use that speed to turn the corners and put big pressure on your quarterback.
First 6 offensive touchdowns for Alabama State this year were passing touchdowns. They didn't get their first rushing touchdown until the 3rd game of the season. That was against Edward Waters, as we see Spate rolling out to the right side. And he runs out of bounds in front of his own bench and picks up about 3 yards.
Eddie, question for you now. Why is it, or how is it, I should say, that Alabama A&M is year in and year out able to have the premier or one of the premier defenses in the SWAC conference? And you look at their roster, I mean, they're an itty-bitty football team on the defensive side of football.
Well, I think that has to go to Bronski Towns, the defense coordinator. He says that the big, strong, fast guys, they go to Alabama and Auburn. Okay, the fast, small guys, they come to Alabama State and Alabama A&M. So he takes those small guys like the Jeremy Maddox, 6 feet, 240 pounds, put them at defensive end, and he lets them attack the quarterback.
This time, no running room, as Frank Kearse, number 90, was right there to make the stop on the running back, Raymond Traylor.
Now, when you have a team that's so small, though, Eddie, I mean, don't you think teams should be able to just run the football and pound them into the pavement all day long? But that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you would think that, Charlie. But I mean, Jay, but you can't hit what you can't see. It's kind of like Houdini. I mean, you keep in mind, this is the home of Robert Mathis, the sensational pass rusher for the Indianapolis Colts, who finished his career with 41.5 sacks at Alabama A&M. So they're looking for those type of players to attack the opposing offenses.
From the shotgun now, Spate with some time. Lets it go. Great catch in traffic. Across midfield and down to the 42. Now are they calling it incomplete? Or are they calling it incomplete? Let's see.
Well, give Spade confidence when this guy is throwing the ball. This is going into tight coverage, and it looked like the hit probably jarred that ball loose before he had control.
You know, and I'm not a big fan of having one wide receiver take on 3 defensive backs. So although he made a great throw, the only place he could put that ball, you got to think, if you've got 3 defenders there, there's probably a better location to throw the football than going with a 1-on-3 matchup.
Childers was the man who made the reception, or who the pass was intended for, but it looks like it's going to come back because it is incomplete. But we do have an injured player down on the field right at about the 42-yard line. But I don't know how he threaded that needle. You're talking about putting, catching a BB in the dark. He did that, didn't he?
Well, Spade is playing with confidence. So far, he's been in control of this football game. He played well last week, and this guy isn't a player who hasn't been around. He's a redshirt junior, started last week, started this Magic City Classic game a year ago, so he's not going to be taken over by all of the atmosphere and the pageantry of a big football game.
Well, we're talking about this Alabama State team coming in with a 4-3 record. They started the season with a win over Concordia by 5 points. Traylor with 101 yards in that game. Then they beat Savannah State 20-17, and then Chris Mitchell threw 2 touchdown passes in that contest, including the game winner to the Minguas. Then they beat Edward Waters 38-6. They lost to Mississippi Valley 10-3 in Chicago, lost to Prairie View 24-10, and lost to Grambling 23-12 before beating Alcorn in their last contest. That was their first conference win of the season, 24-17, and they scored all of their points in the first half, then had to hold on as Alcorn came back and made a game out of it, but they held on to win it. And we want to thank you for joining us for ESPNU's College Football Prime Time, where we're in Birmingham, Alabama, Legion Field at the 68th edition of the Magic City Classic, Alabama A&M against Alabama State, along with Eddie Robinson and Jay Walker. I'm Charlie Neal. Glad you could join us. And the player was shaken up on the play, Rico Porch, and he's coming off under his own power. That's a good sign.
It's always a good sign when he's able to walk off the field. And keep in mind, Charlie, the starting quarterback, Anthony Spate, he was the regular punter for the first part of this year. But once he moved up to starting at quarterback last year, in step number 28, Andrew Lyons, and he's been doing a great job as of last week.
And a fair catch being called for, and it's made right at about the 24-yard line. 44-yard punt that time. There's a timeout on the field. 9 minutes. That's the time remaining in the first half. We're all tied at 7.
Take a look at third quarter sales.
Going to Burger Town. Want anything?
If they still have the Can My Butt Look Any Bigger meal, will you get me one? Me too.
And I'll have the extra tight pants combo.
Tom?
How about the feel so bloated I just want to sleep for 3 days meal? The same. And?
Tied at 7 apiece here, and we talked earlier about all the food you could buy here. You can buy a lot of apparel, anything you want. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, umbrellas, you name it. Hey, you can get it here. Welcome, Alabama State. Our score, we're all tied at 7 apiece in case you just joined us. Opening possession, first play of the ball game. Alabama State found themselves down 7-0 as Mason went to Harris, 57 yards. It took 8 seconds, and then about 9 minutes later, it was Spate to Andrews, a 25-yard pass, and that's where we stand. Let's go down to the sideline. My partner, Jay Walker.
Well, you know, I heard you all talking earlier about Robert Mathis, the legend here at Alabama A&M. I mean, look at what he did in his career. You talk about those sacks there and everything he was able to accomplish. But more impressive, when you talk to Coach Jones about him, he said he was all over the field. He was also the career leader in tackles for losses. And you know, when you get those tackles for losses, that means you can run sideline to sideline. On paper, you look at Jeremy Maddox, he's got some Robert Mathis type numbers there. You see the sack total there, one of the best in the SWAC conference. But he said, hey, in all fairness to Jeremy Maddox, Robert Mathis was the most special human being I've ever been around. Jeremy Maddox is just a really good football player.
Jeremy Maddox is a good football player. Grand Bay, Alabama is where he hails from. Preseason all-conference selection and ranked 4th in the nation in sacks, but did not start the day because he had a little discrepancy in terms of team rules this week. But he has 1 tackle, and he will play the rest of this ball game. Right now, his team has the ball, first down and 10. That is Alabama A&M at their own 25-yard line. Here's a pass along the sideline, and it goes incomplete. Short armed a little bit over there by Rashad Johnson, the junior out of Mobile, Alabama.
And that was a very dangerous pass. Keep in mind, starting quarterback Dante Mason, there's one ball that should have been picked off by Alabama State. So you have to keep this quarterback, the young freshman, in a very comfortable position. Some first and second down runs, get him into a 3rd and 5 when he can then make the appropriate read and get you the first down.
We haven't seen Ulysses Banks that much. He's only carried the ball 3 times today, Eddie. He's in the backfield alongside his quarterback, 13 yards on those 3 carries so far in the ball game. And now he has the ball coming to the right side, slips down in the backfield, will not get anywhere. So they've had them going a little rough for the young man, the senior, who scored a touchdown in every Magic City Classic he's played in so far. In 08, that was last year, he was held at 51 yards, but he did score a touchdown, picked up a reception for 3 yards 2 years ago. He ran for 132 yards and a touchdown, caught 3 passes for 33. And his freshman year, he was the SWAC newcomer of the year, rookie of the year, freshman of the year. He had a kickoff return for 99 yards in the second quarter, so he's trying to get something going on right now. Came into this game averaging 101 yards per game, the only runner in the SWAC with 3 100-yard games this year. Wide open, has it complete. Move at the 40, still on his feet to the 44-yard line. Again is Thomas Harris, and that's a 20-yard gain and a first down.
And you talk about all the things that Ulysses Banks has been able to accomplish, but now Dante Mason, he's putting his own stamp on this Magic City Classic. You see how he does a great job of rushing, of attempting the rush, and then also drawing up the defender so he can complete the pass over their heads to Thomas Harris. He's doing a great job of deceiving the defenders and making the pass play.
And as a player down, as you look at Thomas Harris with another reception, he has 3 catches today for 100 yards. That's one of the offensive linemen. That's Jamal Webb, the left tackle, who's a little shaken up, freshman out of Mundy's Mill High in Atlanta. But meanwhile, Harris with 3 receptions today. 100 yards already, receiving yards in this contest, and he picks up a big first down there. Coverage of the FIFA U17 World Cup continues on ESPNU Sunday morning as the United States takes on the United Arab Emirates. FIFA U17 World Cup on ESPNU Sunday at 9:45 a.m. Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNSoccerNet.com along with Jay Walker and Eddie Robinson. I'm going to switch your names a little bit. I'm Charlie Neal. Glad you could join us for this.
Charlie, come on, Charlie, get it right now. Come on.
For this edition. Hey, you and Eddie there on the football reminds me of you and Charles Arbuckle on Thursday night. Can you get it together? Right? It is a first down and 10 for Alabama A&M. Their quarterback Dante Mason has done a pretty good job. The freshman out of Nashville, Tennessee. 9 of 12, 124 yards and a touchdown. Harris in motion. Play action. Swing pass to Harris in the flat. Not much running room. A bunch of black jerseys are right there to wrestle him down, led by Keon Riley.
You can see just a quick inside and out motion by Thomas Harris, and they want to get him the football as many times as possible. Ordinarily, Ulysses Banks, if he was totally healthy, they would want him to get 20 to 25 touches. But I think because of that high ankle sprain, the next guy that they're going to go to is Thomas Harris. Look for them to feed him early and often in this football game.
That's his 4th catch today, over 100 yards in receiving.
And why do teams do that wide receiver screen when they can't run the football? Got to be very disappointed the fact that you're playing a 3-4 team that has 3 defensive linemen and they still can't run the football.
Quick pass over the middle, and this one's complete for a first down. Very close to a first down, and this time Rashad Johnson has the reception. He picks it up. He has 19 catches coming into the ball game. And in the Magic City Classic last year, he had a touchdown reception on 3 catches.
Like Alabama A&M will be quick to the line, but Jay, you talk about those numbers. Alabama A&M, they lead the SWAC conference with 163 rushing yards per game, but it's Alabama State who's first in stopping the rush and giving up only 87.9 yards per game. So I think that's the story of this football game. Can Alabama A&M, with that big rushing attack, run the ball against that 3-man front of Alabama State?
And thus far, the answer to the question has been no. I mean, Alabama State's controlling the line of scrimmage. We haven't called Ulysses Banks his name much, and even though he's injured, you know, you got to feed that horse. You know, you got to feed him. You got to win this game. And they have not been able to get control of the line of scrimmage. And the running game is just not there for the Bulldogs.
They pick up the first down. Banks not in the lineup. Pick up the blitz, and the flanker screen goes incomplete, or the screen pass goes incomplete. He tried to get the screen pass to Green, number 41, but they were coming with a vengeance right up the middle. Let's look at it once again. Who was coming?
They can see
this is on Harris.
We're going to Thomas Harris, and this guy, he gets off to a great start with the big touchdown, and once again they know that he's the guy you have to feature. If your star running back is down, Ulysses Banks, and they have a connection. Dante Mason and Thomas Harris, when the quarterback starts to scramble, Thomas Harris is doing a great job of uncovering, settling in the zone, and giving the young quarterback a good target to throw to.
Well, you're looking at Tony Green in the backfield with his quarterback now. He's a junior out of Madison High in San Antonio, Texas. Stays in the block a little bit. Pass across the middle, and it's complete. It's going to be short of a first down. Late flag comes in. A late flag comes in from the field judge.
That's going to be a taunting flag against Alabama State. That's number 53. I think he did something after the play.
That's Adrian Hardy if it's 53.
Completely uncalled for, too. I mean, he made a great tackle right in front of the A&M bench, and then he wants to get up and start screaming at the team, hey, you guys don't want none of this. You just can't do that. No place for it. They'll call it every time.
Here's the pass. Here's the completion. And here comes the taunt. Unsportsmanlike.
Face mask.
They call face mask.
On the defense, number 53, 15 yards from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
That's interesting. They changed the whole taunt to a face mask. How'd they do that, Jay?
Well, either way, it's a 15-yard penalty, but it seemed like he did something after. But let's look at the left hand coming in here. Yeah, he did get the face mask. And, of course, there's no 5-yard inadvertence or any contact on the face mask. You have to throw the 15-yard penalty. I thought he jumped up and said something to the Alabama A&M bench, kind of what Jay alluded to.
This will be the 8th play of this drive for Alabama A&M. Started at their own 25, another first down. Mason stands in there, throws. Here's Harris at the 3. He's at the 1. He's in the end zone. Touchdown.
This quarterback is growing up right before us. Tommy Harris, we know the fantastic football player he is. But look at the quarterback. Stand strong in the pocket. You realize you're going to get hit, son. But I told you earlier, you guys don't mind. We don't mind getting hit for touchdowns, fellas.
Then you have to give Thomas Harris credit. He catches this ball on the 5-yard line. That's one receiver, 2, 3 defensive backs, and he's able to power himself into the end zone and just won't be denied with his second score of this Magic City Classic.
Here's Lycia for the point after. It's up. It's good. And a 14-7 lead for Alabama A&M. Second touchdown pass of the day for the freshman, Mr. Mason. Second touchdown reception of the day for Thomas Harris, the all-conference receiver. 14-7 our score. Alabama A&M on top of Alabama State. Deontay Mason, the freshman, getting the start today, and he's grown up, as you say. As you look there, that's Kevin Atkins. He had been the starter for the first 4 games of the season. He had a great start to this season. 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but in the last 3 games, no touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That's the reason Deontay Mason is in the lineup.
Yeah, Coach Anthony Jones said at some point he just couldn't go through his progressions right. Maybe he lost his confidence, and so they pulled him once or twice. They put in the young freshman, Deontay Mason, and like they say, Charlie, you know, you leave that glove on the mound. You got a young freshman coming here, Magic City Classic, throwing 2 touchdowns. You may not get another chance to get under the center again.
When you talk about the rest of the season for Alabama A&M, they still have to play at Prairie View. They play home against Jackson State and close out the season at home against Mississippi Valley. This one we fielded at the 5-yard line. On the return is Andrews, Nick Andrews, still on his feet, and gets it all the way out to the 35-yard line. So a good return, about 30 yards for Nick Andrews, who's averaging just about 24.3 yards per kick return, ranked 2nd in the conference in that department. Is there a flag down? Maybe.
I think referee Harold Cooper wants to join into the broadcast.
Outside on the kicking team, number 55. It'll be 5 yards on to the end of the run. First down.
I thought they would decline it, but they're going to just add 5 yards onto the end of the run, mark the ball at the 40-yard line. Talking about Harold Cooper, he's been around the SWAC for a long, long time. This is his 3rd Magic City Classic he's worked in the last 5 years. So he gets the big games.
You want to get your good ones in the big games, and they're doing a very good job of officiating this game today. And the players haven't had a lot of penalties. We had a pretty good error-free game so far.
Spate under a little duress right now. Who was he throwing to? No one. That goes incomplete. He got a lot of pressure from Cosby. Watch number 30 on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you had pressure right up in the middle, so this play was aborted from the start. But once you take off running, you have to make a decision. Am I going to run or am I going to throw? It looked like the receiver, wow, he took a shot at the end. Could have put a block to give him more time to run, but that indecisiveness is what caused him to take that big hit by number 30, Henry Cosby.
Yeah, 93, that was Marcus Poe, who was putting the pressure on him, and now he comes out. Spate comes out of the lineup. Now let's see who they're going to bring in. Remember, Mitchell has been hurt. They may bring in Dominguez.
They're going with
Chris Mitchell. He's in there, senior out of Mobile, Alabama, at the quarterback spot. Little screen pass to the near side. Has a little running room. And down the sideline. And out of bounds. On the carry goes Tim Clark.
Now, Charlie,
sophomore out of St. Louis, Missouri.
They come into the game with number 10, Chris Mitchell. He was the normal starter from the beginning of the year, but he has a very gimpy ankle. You can tell he's not moving very well. A great job on the screen pass and getting things set up, but we'll see how this changes the play calling for Alabama State if Mitchell indeed has to play the rest of this game.
30-yard gain on the play on the screen pass to Tim Clark. That's his longest pass reception of the year, his 9th catch of the season. And for Chris Mitchell, now Anthony Spate back in there. He just took a breather on the sideline, and he's checked back into the lineup. So Mitchell kept the drive alive with a little screen pass to Clark. Spate back in there now. Tim Clark, the lone running back, behind him or beside his quarterback. And it goes to Clark to the right side. Tries to cut it inside. And a bunch of white jerseys are there to make the stop defensively, led by Justin Borden, the strong safety, the senior out of Birmingham, Alabama.
In Alabama State, this is a very crucial drive. You've been trading scores with Alabama A&M. Now you're getting into that point of the field. You're really close to the red zone. Maybe you take a shot in the end zone. You have those very talented receivers at number 7, Darius Mathis, and of course Nick Andrews.
Reggie Barlow, 3rd year. He played at Alabama State. What, 58 passes in his senior year. Here's Spate letting it go up high. Are they going to give him the catch? No, they're going to say he was out of bounds. But it was a great effort there by the receiver, Robert Childers, senior out of Selma, Alabama.
Great job defensively. The corner is going to get late safety help, and they're able to push him out of bounds so he can't get that 1 foot in bounds. I think the quarterback just let that ball hang in the air a little too long.
What happens on that type of throw there, when you're going to throw that corner route, you must deliver the football before the wide receiver comes out of his break. If you wait for him to come out of his break, 9 times out of 10 you're going to end up completing that pass out of bounds. So release the ball a little bit sooner. They could have had a big play.
Yeah, unless you're in Canada, you're not going to make that throw work, Jeff.
3rd and 9 now for Alabama State. The running room now. Quarterback keeps it, throws, and it's complete. They're going to say incomplete on the far sideline. This time the intended receiver was Nick Andrews out of Maplesville, Alabama.
What you're seeing now with the quarterback play is after taking that big hit, the quarterback has clearly made up his mind that he doesn't want to run the football. I mean, he had plenty of room out front of him, but he made a quick decision to settle for that pass attempt on the sideline where the guy was covered. Nobody was there. So quarterback, he got dinged. I don't know if he's got his wits about him right now, and he may be a little shook up.
48-yard field goal attempt coming up from Jake King. And now timeout has been called by Alabama A&M. When you talk about Jake King, the senior out of Tyler, Texas, he's 7 for 10 in field goals this year. His longest was a 45-yarder. This would be a 48-yard field goal attempt. He's 6th in the conference in scoring. He did miss a 48-yarder against Alcorn this year.
And that goes back to Jay's point on that 3rd and 9. If Anthony Spate would have made the scramble, even if he didn't get the first down, he may have cut this field goal try just a little bit shorter. So you have to understand the down and distance and the positioning of the field and what you're trying to do offensively.
Now, you wonder why they call this timeout in this situation. I understand the Alabama A&M, maybe you want to put a block together, but let's suppose you get the ball back. You know, you're going to have a last drive to end the half, then you may want all 3 of those timeouts. I understand you don't value them as much in the first half as you do the second half, but if you're an offensive-minded team, you're thinking, hey, we want to get 2 minutes because if they score a field goal, we're going to try and drive down and score a touchdown to match them.
Well, the other thing that we haven't really touched on is the fact that Alabama State has been a team who scored a lot of points in the first half, and they've only scored 7 so far in this ball game. Coming into the game, they were averaging something like 15 points a game in the first half. They'd scored 107 points. They had not been a second half team. It may just reverse that trend here this afternoon.
And that's what Coach Barlow is hoping for, of course.
So this will be a 48-yard field goal by Jake King. High snap. The kick is up. And it hit the crossbar. It was close. He can return it. Or can he? Maybe not.
I guess because they hit the
crossbar. Right. So that's the third miss of the year in terms of that distance for Jake King. He missed 3, 2 against Alcorn, including the 48-yarder. This one hits the crossbar and falls short.
But he definitely had the accuracy was right on there, and that goes back to that play by Spate, man. You have to take those small yards. This is a game of inches, and feet, and yards, and you can't, sit there if you have an opportunity to run the football. Hey, you got to take off and run. You can't be shell shocked because you took a big hit on the last drive.
Now the last drive by Alabama A&M resulted in a touchdown on a pass from Mason to Harris, and now a throw again, and this is complete and out to the 45-yard line. Here's Alabama A&M trying to move the ball, a 14-yard gain on the pass play.
And I like what Alabama A&M is doing offensively. They're running a lot of crossing routes. So the quarterback is able to complete 5- and 7-yard routes and let the receivers get the run after catch to get the big yards.
Empty backfield right now. They're calling it second down. I thought he had enough for a first down.
Now it's first down.
It is. They did change the down marker on the far side. Empty backfield. A little time. Again, out of bounds. They're going to call that a completion. Yes, I didn't think he had his feet down in bounds in time, but coming up with the catch is Quentin Carlock, his second reception of the day. Good for 10, good to move the chains, and another first down for A&M.
Carlisle's got to do a better job of slowing down his momentum. The quarterback was pulling him, but you see Carlisle just easily kind of goes out of bounds. That shouldn't have been so close.
Yeah. And now it is a first down. 2:43 left before halftime. 14-7 lead for Alabama A&M, and they have the ball in the white jerseys. They scored on the first play of the game on a 57-yard touchdown pass from the quarterback Deontay Mason to Thomas Harris. The umpire had to hit the ground that time to keep the ball from hitting him, and that's good for about 9 yards on this pass to Harris.
In Alabama State defensively, they're going to have to change up what they're doing on defense, because too many times I'm seeing the Alabama A&M receivers getting inside a defender in man-on-man coverage, and it's an easy throw and catch for the quarterback right over the center's head. That's just too easy. You're going to have to change up what you're doing and take away the middle of the field if you're the Alabama State defense.
Yeah, that throw is easy because it's right in front of you. And, you're right. I was thinking about the same thing. They're being very aggressive. They're always blitzing number 34 or 53 every play. So that middle of the field is wide open, and Alabama A&M is just making these little short throws and letting the wide receivers run after the catch.
Ulysses Banks in the lineup now beside his quarterback Mason, and Ulysses Banks gets the ball, but he's not going to get much running room. He's trying to get to the first down marker. That was a 2nd and about 1. He does get enough for the first down to move the chains down to the 32-yard line before he's stopped by Newbold.
First down.
Eugene Newbold. There's Thomas Harris. There's his career receiving yards, 147 yards today. He's also run the ball every now and then on an end around or something of that nature. Done that 4 times this season. Throws it back in the middle, and it's intercepted. Not a good decision. Picking up the ball was Justin Wright, number 54 there, defensively after it bounced around in the air off a couple of people's hands. And finally, Justin Wright, the senior from Birmingham's Macadori High, comes up with the INT.
Yeah, and for Dante Mason, this is why you call him a freshman. I mean, the guy did everything right this whole football game, but when you're running to your right, you can't stop and try to make a throw across the field like that all the way. This is what happens. It tips up in the air and it gets intercepted.
Alabama State ball on the 15.
In this situation with a 7-point lead, Charlie, he would have been well served just to run out of bounds and take the second down play.
Here's Alabama State with the ball now. Pass complete on the near side, but not much running room, and actually going to lose yards, maybe a yard on this play. We're in Birmingham, Alabama. It's the 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. Glad you could join us for this one. Alabama State in their dark jerseys, Alabama A&M in the white jerseys. I'm Charlie Neal along with Eddie Robinson Jr. and Jay Walker. Here's Spate. Spate brought down before he could get a head of steam going by Okerson, number 49, and that should be possibly the last play of the half. They're going to try to get another one off. 15 seconds is what the clock shows. They may not snap this one.
Yeah, they're going to let the half run out. You don't want to snap it and be forced to punt if you get into a 4th down situation.
So the half comes to a close here in Birmingham on what turned out to be a great day for football in this 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. Been a lot of fireworks on both sides of the ball. 14-7 is the score. Alabama State down by a touchdown as they go to the locker room, and we'll be back with more from Birmingham in a moment.
Scientific tests prove when you drink Dr. Pepper slow, 23 flavors taste even better.
800-400-4183.
Hey, you got the whole mop with that slab of ribs there. It is Halloween also in Birmingham, Alabama, and a lot of ghosts and goblins are out there tonight. They're gobbling up some of that good tailgating food they have.
And I like the nice spooky music as we go to break. Always good stuff by the crew there.
ESPNU College Football. We're in Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. It's presented by City, and we welcome you back to the stadium known as the Old Gray Lady. Alabama A&M leading at halftime 14-7. Let's check out some of the first half highlights of this contest. 3 touchdowns in the game, and Alabama A&M didn't waste any time getting on the board, Eddie.
Well, like you said, first play of the game, the young freshman quarterback, Dante Mason. He's been sitting on the bench. He knows who to throw the football to. That's number 81, Thomas Harris. He's the big play guy, and if that wasn't enough, I'm going to go to him a second time. Look at the effort by Thomas Harris. This is what the Magic City Classic is about. He puts 2 touchdowns on the board for Alabama A&M. Not to be outdone, in step Anthony Spate, number 9. He goes deep to the talented receiver, Nick Andrews, to cut the lead to 7, and that's where we stand at the half. Charlie, 14-7, Alabama A&M.
And you look at the time of possession, Alabama A&M has almost a 3-minute edge there. They also have over 100 yards more total offense than Alabama State, 233 to 102. Penalties have been pretty tame as far as this particular contest. Only 8 between the two teams. What do you think Alabama State did at halftime and Reggie Barlow talked about?
Well, of course, Alabama State, they will need to put more points on the board, but they have to stop that short passing game by Alabama A&M. Of course, Ulysses Banks, the talented running back for Alabama A&M, has been banged up. He hasn't gotten his touches, so they haven't been able to run the ball effectively, but that short passing game and good decision-making by the quarterback, number 11, Dante Mason, they still control that time of possession. On the year, Alabama A&M is number 1 in the conference at 33 minutes and 40 seconds. They love to dominate the time of possession, let that defense rest, so when they come on the field, they're rested and they're ready to run.
Well, you saw a shot of both of the coaches there. There's Anthony Jones. You saw Reggie Barlow earlier, who said at the luncheon yesterday. But by the way, I want to say what a fantastic job you did, Eddie, as the guest speaker at the kickoff luncheon for these two teams. But he said someone will have a great game, and let's see who does, as the ball is fielded right at the 4-yard line. Alabama State on the return. Good return by Nick Andrews. Andrews, SWAC special teams player, number 2 in the SWAC in kickoff returns, averaging 24.3 yards per return. And he puts the ball down across midfield, and Alabama State starts the second half in great field position.
Hey, Eddie, I heard you talk about some of the halftime adjustments, and you were right on point somewhere. Alabama A&M said we got to figure out a way to get Ulysses Banks, but we can't run at the teeth of the defense, so look for them to attack the perimeter defense for Alabama State. And Alabama State, Coach Barlow said, we're doing a good job. We're getting pressure on the quarterback. We just got to figure out a way to make those interceptions when the opportunity presents itself and keep coming up with big plays, which they haven't been able to do.
Yeah, and there was almost an interception there by Chris Falk as the ball was thrown in the direction of Nick Andrews.
Well, Nick Andrews is that big play guy. I mean, he leads second in the conference, averaging 18.6 yards per reception. They're going to try to go over the top of this A&M defense and make a big play in the passing game at some time.
Anthony Spate. There is a stats on him for the game. 6 of 14, 51 yards, and that touchdown pass that he threw to Andrews to cover 25 yards. This time they keep it on the ground with Trailer trying to turn the right corner. He already has his degree in education. Newborn daughter, Trinity. Great role model for the other members of this Alabama State team. As Coach Barlow says, he's a consistent player, consistent individual, and always where he should be on time. Not a problem.
That's the type of players you need around your program. Great senior leadership. You need those upperclassmen to lead the younger guys.
3rd down and 8 now. Spate steps up behind the back pass and a one-handed grab by Mathis, or Andrews rather, but he was stopped, hit by Richard. Make that Julius Pruitt. Julius Pruitt there, number 40, was there to make sure he didn't get any head of steam going.
Yeah, and I tell you what, he used all 185 pounds of his frame to lay a lick to stop him from getting that first down.
So after getting the ball in good field position at the 48, they were putting it away from the 42. Good kick. And it'll go into the end zone. And after a 41-yard punt, Alabama A&M will get the ball at their own 20, the first possession for them in the second half. Great crowd on hand as always in Birmingham for this Magic City Classic. And talking about the Southwestern Athletic Conference, Eddie, while we've got a moment, the SWAC on a press conference on this past Thursday has decided to move their basketball tournament coming up in 2010 to Shreveport, Louisiana. It'll be at the Century Tel Center there, and it'll be held March 10th through the 13th.
Of course, SWAC basketball is just starting up around the country.
Yeah. Basketball is in full bloom. Here's Mason. He runs out with it. Gain about 7 or 8 yards on the play. A couple of black jerseys around him defensively. There's what Anthony Mason. There's a low angle shot of what just happened to him. He was 16 of 22, 199 yards and a pair of touchdowns in the first half. 2nd down and 2 after that 8-yard gain. Ulysses Banks, who's been held pretty much in check, and they haven't run the ball with him that much so far this afternoon. He's in the backfield behind his quarterback, and he has the ball trying to find a seam. He does get enough for the first down across the 30 to about the 32, 33-yard line.
And one thing I can say, Coach Jones is great at playing with a lead. If he can sustain a touchdown or a touchdown plus lead, he's going to start featuring Ulysses Banks and that running game, because at that point he'll have confidence in his defense to close this game out. It's too early for that now, but look for that to happen if it proceeds that way in the third quarter.
Banks, 6 carries, 18 yards so far. So far for him today. So it'll bring up a first down. One of the things that Cedric Pearl and this Alabama A&M team, as you watch Banks trying to go to the left side this time, a gain of 2 on the play, is they watch the defense of Alabama State because they feel they have a lot of movement just prior to the snap. And that's one of the things that Deontay Mason has got to be alert to, is all of those pre-snap moves.
And I'll tell you what, going into the third and fourth quarter of the second half, I think it's going to give the quarterback for Alabama A&M, Deontay Mason, a little advantage, because he has a better line of sight at the play clock going into this end of the end zone. He can see it clearly. He can watch this defense move, and then he can make the adjustment offensively to get them into a good play call.
Blitz coming. And he decides to keep it, and a flag goes down. The umpire throws this one. You know, talking about some big games as far as football is concerned. Holding against Alabama A&M. South Florida beat number 21 West Virginia last night 30-19. That game in Tampa. B.J. Daniels, 232 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Holding on the offense, number 66, 10 yards from the previous spot. Replay, second half.
Third holding penalty on the left guard, Russell Jackson, today. 6 penalties, and he has 3 of them holding.
Yeah, the big guys, you have to play with your feet, not with your hands.
So it'll bring up a 2nd down and long. We were talking about that game against West Virginia last night. B.J. Daniels, what a game, and they held Noel Devine to just 42 yards rushing. Here's the young man who was averaging 130 yards rushing a game.
Hey, defense wins games every time, Charlie.
No.
I wonder if you were listening.
Incomplete on the near side. Go ahead, Jay. Put your 2 cents in.
Defense can help you win a game, but last time I checked, if the score is 0-0, that's a tie. So you got to figure out a way to put some points on the board. You know, B.J. Daniel, that freshman, stepped up. West Virginia, you know, went down there. They didn't have the momentum behind them early in the game. They jumped out to a 7-0 lead, but give credit to Coach Levitt over there at South Florida. That squad and the young quarterback, Daniel, stepped up, made some big plays with his arm, and he's a pretty exciting guy to watch.
He certainly is. He didn't throw any interceptions. He also ran for 104 yards last night. So he not only did it with his arms, he did it with his legs. 3rd down. A&M 2 of 6 so far tonight.
See if Alabama State decides to bring pressure on the young quarterback.
Empty backfield. Mason. Plenty of time. Throws. Man open. And it's good for a 1st down. And that is Thomas Harris, his favorite receiver. That's a 25-yard reception.
You talk about having all day to sit back and throw the ball. I mean, Mason's outside the pocket. He went through his whole progressions. And one thing about Mason, you know, he doesn't care about the style points. He's not throwing a lot of spirals, fellas. I'll tell you that right now. I'm looking at him. They got a little wobble on him.
Got a little Charlie Neal ball, huh?
Yeah, their completions though. Woo, I wish I could see some type of spiral. Help me out here.
There's nothing wrong with a knuckleball as long as it's completed for a 1st down. But you got to give Thomas Harris credit. Once again, he uncovered from the defense. This Alabama State defense, you have to plaster to your wide receiver when the quarterback starts to move in that pocket.
And now timeout called by Alabama A&M. Dante Mason not too sure about the play. He was looking at his wrist as he got the call from the sideline, and Cedric Pearl. Timeout on the field. We'll step aside here in Birmingham.
Welcome back to the Magic City Classic, where Alabama A&M is holding on to a 14-7 lead over Alabama State University. You know, one thing about this game, we talked about the weather, and we were worried about the rain forecast. Well, it's not raining, but I'm still going to keep my hood on because it is plenty cold out here. Legion Stadium is notorious for having the shadows. Alabama A&M sideline has had folks in the shade for a couple of hours. If you take a look at the Alabama State side, the shadow is just now starting to creep over there. So I think a factor is going to be the temperature outside of the rain.
Well, don't worry about the temperature, Jay. You can handle it.
I'm coming up there with you.
Well, you know,
can I come with you?
Yes,
I mean,
you can. I'm sending Eddie down there because
Jay,
he can't stand the cold.
Jay, I thought you were a D.C. guy, man. Didn't you play quarterback at Howard and then for the Minnesota Vikings? You're complaining about the temperature?
And New England Patriots.
Are you kidding me?
Don't the Minnesota Vikings play in a dome? Come on, linebacker.
It is 1st down and 10 for Alabama A&M. The pass complete, far sideline, and close to a 1st down on the reception.
But Charlie, on that weather note, you talk about a guy like Ulysses Banks who has that high ankle sprain. You have to wonder, we haven't seen much of him today. Has he been able to keep that ankle loose? It's probably just with this weather, it's not a very good thing to help him out as far as him to be productive in the ball game.
That's a very good point there, too. You know, during halftime, I'm sure they were doing everything they could to loosen it up some more, but this temperature here is not going to help that ankle at all.
That was a 1st down reception by Torrey Smith. Now pump fake it there. Here's a behind-the-back pass and incomplete. Thomas Harris could not bring that one in. That's the first drop of the ball game by him. He's a pretty sure receiver. Came into the game with 31 receptions last year. And this young man caught 72 passes, 1,208 yards, 7 touchdowns, and he was the 3rd leading receiver in terms of number of catches in the SWAC.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Harris and Jamar Stewart at Southern, they're really the class receivers in the conference, but also Thomas Harris has that ability to return kickoffs and punts, and in a big game today, he's did that also.
Talking about somebody stepping up big, and so far he's been the big man in this contest, along with his quarterback, Dante Mason. who was 17 of 24 or 25, 223 yards and a pair of touchdowns, and he'd run out of bounds in the near sideline. And before today, he was 20 of 42, 185 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Let's look at this one once again.
You know what I like about this kid? I mean, he's making all of the right decisions, throwing, running, but he has a pretty good stiff arm. He's been well coached. He's used that thing quite effective a couple times today against the Alabama State defenders.
Look like Walter Payton there. Walter Payton, the SWAT guy, huh?
3rd down and 4 for Alabama A&M at the 35 of Alabama State. Empty backfield again for the quarterback, Deontay Mason. He had a 66-yard touchdown run against Grambling earlier this year. Incomplete, trying to get to the near sideline and get it to Carlock. So it'll bring up a 4th down situation. Covering on the play, Justin Wright of Alabama State.
And both coaches are electing to play the field position game. They're sending out their punters even when they're in that 35 to 40-yard line. And this is a type of, in this position, where you may want to go for it on 4th down, but when you have a 14-7 lead, your defense is playing great. Hey, make Alabama State drive the ball 80 or 90 yards and see if they can do it.
Vance Wilson back to punt it away, freshman out of Huntsville, Alabama. They've had a punt return against them this year for 64 yards. This one is fair court, right at about the 9-yard line. And so that's where Alabama State will get the ball for their 2nd possession of the 2nd half, trailing by a touchdown. ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by the Home Depot. Visit HomeDepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And they're continuing to do the barbecuing outside. A big weekend in the state of Alabama, Eddie, Jay. I mean, you had yesterday or earlier today, number 25 Ole Miss came to Auburn, lost to Auburn early today. Then we have this game here, and then tomorrow on ABC, the AMP Energy 500 race from Talladega. So a lot going on in a very short area as far as space is concerned.
Of course, in Talladega, that's right on the way between, on I-20, right between Birmingham and Atlanta. So it's a lot of traffic. It's not a free hotel or a Winnebago for that matter. And with all of this beef I'm seeing, I don't think there's any chickens left in Alabama either. They're cooking everything.
And I'm definitely trying to hurt the rib population down here.
And we got movement. Left guard moves. That is Andrew Showalter.
Charlie, I'm looking at all of this tailgate.
Number 70 on the offense.
70, that wasn't Showalter. Alabama State's left guard, Gerald Jones.
Charlie, I'm checking out this tailgating, and I see the beef and the ribs and everything else, and the chicken.
And you don't eat meat.
Are there any veggies out here? Does anybody have any vegetables out here at the Magic City Classic? Hey, Jay, can you find us some veggies at the Magic City Classic?
You don't grill
roasted corn.
And here, stopped in his tracks, is Ramon Taylor. Nowhere to go that time, and it was Okelson, number 49, right there to make the stop. He's out of College Park, Georgia, leading tackler on this Alabama A&M Bulldogs team, and they lose a few more yards. So it's going to bring up the 2nd down and about 20.
And I know Bronski Towns with that pressure defense, they're thinking safety if you're the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. You have a team backed up on that 1-yard line. You want to bring pressure and put some points on the board from the defensive side of the ball.
2nd and 17 is actually what it is for Alabama State. And they try to keep the ball on the ground and try to give them a little breathing room out to the 5-yard line and to bring up a 3rd down for Alabama State. They close out their season at Jackson State. Then they come home and play Southern. Then they close out the season with that Turkey Day Classic in Montgomery against Tuskegee.
And one thing about both of these teams, and you would think right now the teams would really start to turn it on because their season is in the wake in this game. Whichever team loses this contest is out of the SWAC competition. They control their own destiny. So, you know, Alabama State needs to be very careful right now because this game could get away from them quickly.
Working from the shotgun, high snap. Well, that was a 4th down play. Actually, it was a 3rd down play. They decided to punt it away. I didn't see the punter come on. But remember, Spate was the punter. So it wasn't a bad bad play. 41-yard punt, but still great field position for Alabama A&M.
Yeah, but like Jay said, you don't want to let this game slip out of your hands. I think that's a cagey call by Coach Reggie Barlow, because Spate was your regular partner before he went into his quarterback duties. And when you're backed up in that situation, you're only down 7. Your defense is playing good. Why let disaster happen and all of a sudden you're down by 14 points?
Now coverage of the FIFA U17 World Cup continues on ESPNU. Comes your way Sunday morning. Again, they're starting in Alabama State territory at the 40. Second possession of the second half all day. There's a sideline pass. Just missed. Harris streaking down the sideline. But a penalty marker is down.
This was the old school route here. When last time you seen one of this? He did the good old-fashioned curl, pump, and go. I mean, I haven't seen one of those with that deliberate play action there. And the defensive back just was all over the wide receiver Harris.
Well, they've been running so many short crossing routes and short hitch routes. It was a good time for that. You keep baiting them on those curl routes, and all you hit them with the old curl and go.
Harold Cooper will give us the call.
Holding on number 1 on the defense. It'll be 10 yards from the previous spot on the pass play. Automatic first down.
So defensive holding against Alabama State. That's Jameer Williams, a junior or sophomore rather. Criminal justice major out of Jacksonville, Florida, who started his college career at South Carolina before coming here to Alabama State. So it's a first down after the 10-yard penalty for the hold. And they keep the ball on the ground. Again, one of the big fellas decides to run the ball. That's Roger Smith, the fullback. Number 47, junior out of Montgomery, Alabama's Elmore High. First time he's carried the ball today.
Yeah, he only has 1 rush on the season, so you can tell Alabama A&M is really reaching into the bag of tricks to try to get something out of this running game. They just want to put 1 more touchdown on the board. If they can get more than a touchdown lead, I'm more than sure they're going to try to let their defense close this ball game out for them.
College football, that position of fullback is like extinct.
It is.
Spread offenses all the time. You rarely see a fullback.
And if you see him, he doesn't carry the ball too much, does he?
1 carry, like Eddie said, 1 carry on the season. Now he's already got to his season total, so he's balling today.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. We're talking about Ulysses Banks and how they've kind of held him in check, and of course he's had the ankle. They held him out of the last contest against Alcorn basically to get him ready for this week's game, and plus they had a bye last week, so gave him an extra week to kind of get his ankle back together. But here's a young man, when you look at his career numbers, they're just phenomenal. I mean, when you talk about all-purpose yards, he has over 4,200 all-purpose yards in his career and 26 touchdowns. Rolling to the right on 3rd down, throwing, and it's caught, but it's going to be, yes, enough for the first down right at about the 18-yard line. And coming back for the reception is Rashad Johnson, number 25.
He's got just a knack to have it, and sometimes quarterback, we say either have it or you don't. Bodies flying all around him, but look at the young fella Mason, just keep his composure, vision always downfield. That's something that, I've seen many quarterbacks on the collegiate level struggle with trying to look at the pass rush, and in order to be a successful quarterback, you've got to feel the pass rush. You can't look at it. I'll tell you one thing, I'm really impressed with the way Mason's able to feel the pass rush and keep his vision downfield.
Rashad Johnson in motion on a 1st and 10 at the 16. Looking, throws out. Let's say they're going to give him a touchdown. No, he was pushed out. He came to catch. The receiver had the reception. That was Anthony Mitchell, but the defense made sure he didn't come down in bounds.
Well, in the Alabama State defender, they were looking in the backfield at the quarterback. And one thing you got to do from defense, you can't just stare at the quarterback. You got to put your eyes back on your coverage. And they were very fortunate to recover and make that play. That was number 32, Donovan Massline from Jacksonville, Florida.
And what's Donovan's size? I don't have my size on him right now, but I'm standing next to him. The kid's got to be no more than 5'8".
He's 5'8", 160 pounds.
And they went to a matchup. They put a big 6'2" wide receiver on him, and the touchdown was there. They just delivered the ball a little too late.
2nd down, blitz coming, keeping it on the ground, bouncing to the outside to the 10 to 5, and Banks is out of bounds. 1st and goal at the 1-yard line. Ulysses Banks, his biggest run of the day.
And he's been quiet most of the day, but you're talking about a guy that scored a touchdown in every Magic City Classic he's ever played in, so we should expect him to get this type of run effort close to the red zone.
1st and goal red zone, the number 2 team in the conference in red zone offense. That is Alabama A&M. And out of the 14 touchdowns they've scored in the red zone, 7 of them have come by way of the run. Banks the second back in the eye behind Roger Smith. Banks has the ball. He's in the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama A&M. So for Ulysses Banks, that's his 27th career touchdown, his 5th touchdown rushing this year. And he has scored in every Magic City Classic he's played in.
And you can tell that he's obviously limping. I know that ankle is bothering him, but you have to give this guy credit. I mean, he's been coming to this game with his grandfather and with his dad, who played at Alabama A&M ever since a kid. He knows the importance of this big game, and he's going to tough it out and play through pain for him and all of his senior classmates at Alabama A&M.
That was a 40-yard drive for Alabama A&M. Lycia for the point after to make it a 2-touchdown advantage for Alabama A&M. The kick is up, and this one is good. 21-14, 21-7 rather. Alabama A&M over Alabama State. There he is, Mr. Ulysses Banks from Parker High, right down the street from where we are here in Birmingham. Welcome back to ESPNU College Football Primetime, presented by... That's right! Welcome back to ESPNU College Football Primetime, presented by City. 21-7 our score. Alabama A&M over Alabama State. We're at Legion Field, Birmingham, Alabama, for this Magic City Classic. Let's go down to Jay.
Hey, you know, the Alabama faithful, they're getting excited. They can feel a victory getting closer to them. Who do you think the happiest guy in the stadium is? Who do you think it is? Mr. Banks out here telling his son,
yeah,
good job, but
what's he doing on the field?
Though. Like father, like son.
There's old Kenny and Ulysses. There they are. What a pair.
I tell you what, Charlie, I have 3 young boys at home, ages 9, 7, and 4, Jacoby, Jared, and Trey, and it would be a great pleasure, just like Mr. Banks, to see one of them perform in this big game. So I know he's a proud papa today.
23 rushing career touchdowns for Ulysses Banks, the senior. He's done it since he's been here at Alabama A&M. He was the SWAC Freshman of the Year back in 2006. Ran a kickoff back 99 yards in this contest. And then in 2007, he scored on a touchdown on a rush and rushed for 132 yards in that game. 51 yards a year ago on a touchdown. Only 38 yards today, which is a 3.8 average on 10 carries for a young man who's averaging 5.1 yards a carry. But more importantly, he has scored every year he's played in this contest.
Yeah, but he's playing with a lot of toughness today. You can tell he can't make the cuts he's usually making, and the team, they're going to really rally around the guy that they see playing injured and playing hard like that.
Short kick, finally fielded. And now some running room on the far side by Cleon Riley, and he's going to be run out of bounds in front of the Alabama State bench. Cleon Riley on the return. And they're talking about the coaches. There's, you see, Reggie Barlow, first half. Alabama State 107 points and 57 for their opponents. Second half, 38 points. 73 for their opponents. That's about 5 points per game in the second half compared to 15 in the first half. They have been a first half team. They have only scored 7 points in this game, and that was in the first half.
Well, if they want to win this Magic City Classic, they better become a second half team like right now.
They even practiced halftime this week. There's a pass that's good on the far side, good for a first down, all the way across midfield into Alabama A&M territory. Darius Mathis on the reception, 17 yards on the catch for Mathis.
And a question I've always wanted to know, Eddie, you know, you're an Alabama alumnus from Alabama State. What game means more, Magic City Classic or the Turkey Day Classic?
That's a tough one, Jay. I think both of them are equally important, but the Magic City is probably the bigger game, I would think.
Conference game.
Conference game, plus could have implications as far as getting to the SWAC championship, as that one for Mathis is incomplete.
Now, with that being the case, the follow-up to that is we showed a graphic earlier that says Coach Barlow is 0-2 in Magic City Classics. If he goes 0-3, does that get him talking?
Well, I don't think
Does
so.
it get them talking? They're already talking.
Yeah. Well, they're always talking. I mean, you know, fans want you to win every game. But I think what Coach Barlow is doing year to year, he had to play a lot of freshmen. You have a lot of freshmen out there today, and he's still in the midst of building the program. But, you know, one thing you can do to keep your job at either one of these schools is that's to win this Magic City Classic the way Coach Jones has done in the 7 to 8 years he's been here.
And they've won 4 straight as they keep the ball on the ground with trailer. You know, I remember the same thing happens with Grambling and Southern.
Oh, yeah.
That with the Bayou Classic, I remember there was a coach at Southern University some years ago by the name of Cass Jackson. And they had his bus ticket and his U-Haul packed when they went to New Orleans to play the Bayou Classic. And they beat Grambling and Eddie Robinson that year, and he lasted a whole nother season. That was the only game they won all year.
Well, you know, Coach Pete Richardson at Southern now, he's the only coach to never have lost to Coach Eddie Robinson in that big Bayou Classic at the end of the year.
Spate under pressure, takes it off and runs. Sideline, has some running room, and out of bounds. He's bounced on the far sideline, but not before he picks up yardage enough for a first down.
And that's a good job right there. You'll see the pocket just kind of open up, and he just stepped up. So you step up. Now I would have liked him to continue to look downfield there, but hey, anytime you see an opportunity and there's no defender between you and the first down marker, go ahead and get the first down.
I think that's what Alabama State has to do right now. Don't worry about scoring the touchdown. Just get first downs and get yourself in the position to score, and just take it one play at a time.
You know, right when they get the ball in here, you can expect that blitz coming sometime soon from Coach Towns.
Here comes Spate. He's back to pass. Throws. Intercepted. Should have been. In and out of the hands of number 55. And there he is. Couldn't come up with it, Lumpkin.
Man, he looked like Eddie Robinson on that play.
He returned a block punt for a touchdown against Tuskegee. Hey, just couldn't hold on this time.
Yeah, I mean, the freshman from Grand Bay, Alabama, if you want your chance to be a hero double nickel, he's wearing my number 2, man. That's that number 55. You got to make that play. I mean,
but
that's
he's on the other team.
He's on the other team, but still, that number is precious to me. When you're up 14 points in a game like this, defensively, you can just about close the door on the other team if you can make that play and put it in the end zone.
Who else wore number 55? Come on.
Junior Seau.
Yeah, who else?
Willie McGinnis.
There's some good ones award. Including Eddie Robinson.
There you go. Jay, I know that was your next guess. We were just being patient with you.
Kenneth Reese.
That must be a Howard guy, Jay.
There you go. Got to take care of my line.
You know, if we could go back in time and get that Alabama State Howard matchup just once, oh man, it was the things I would do for that.
That's right. Yeah, you had a good season, Alabama. You guys won a national championship. You guys went 11-0-1, right?
Yeah, that was it.
And my team went 11-0.
And won. And lost one. They still lost one.
They lost in the playoffs. I know. He's a quarterback, man. He only puts in the stats that he wants you to see.
Here's Spate back to pass on second down. And this one goes incomplete. Spate a little slow to get up. He was hit pretty hard down after he let that ball go.
Tough decision coming up right here. I mean,
yeah, he's 2 of 9 for 15 yards. The first half, first quarter, he was 4 of 7. 58 yards. Since that time, 2 of 9 and just 15 yards. So he struggled a little bit here lately in this ball game after the first quarter. So now we've got a field goal attempt coming for Alabama State. A 48-yarder by Alabama State by Jake King hit the crossbar in the first half. This will be a 45-yard field goal attempt for the young man from Tyler, Texas. This one has the distance, but it's no good. It's off to the left.
Give Alabama A&M's defense credit. I mean, they gave up a couple yards, couple big plays on that drive, but when they got inside that 30-yard line, they really toughened up, and Alabama State couldn't capitalize with the missed field goal.
Well, Tuesday night, ESPNU serves sets and spikes. It's coverage of women's college volleyball. It'll be a SWAC matchup. Alabama A&M Bulldogs facing Jackson State Tigers in women's college volleyball on ESPNU Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. I'm Charlie Neal along with Eddie Robinson Jr., former Alabama State linebacker, and Jay Walker, the former Howard University quarterback, and we're in Birmingham, Alabama for this Magic City Classic, and this pass is complete down the sideline, and on the reception is the big receiver Carlock, the junior out of Houston, Texas, from Thurgood Marshall High. Or was that King or Smith?
Yeah, Roger Smith.
That was Smith coming out of the backfield. Hey, that's his first. He's only carried the ball one time in his first reception of the year. He's doing great things. He's doubled everything in this game, hasn't he?
They're bringing fullbacks back. Now everybody's going to go out there and start recruiting fullbacks again.
The Alabama A&M court looks pretty cold right there, Jay. Some hot chocolate for him.
Keeping the ball on the ground. And maybe a yard, and that's it on the carry for Ulysses Banks.
One of the unique things about this game, and you talked earlier about how Talladega is going to be running the cars tomorrow, but this stadium here, it's almost like its own little indoor racetrack going around. I've never seen a game where you got so many people in the stands and so many people walking around the perimeter of the field. I mean, when you see people just going, moving and moving and moving, they're just walking around everywhere. You probably got 10,000 people just walking around.
It's about reacquainting yourself with your associates and friends and people that you with. It's almost like the CIAA basketball tournament. Nobody comes to see the basketball game. They want to see who's showing up.
See that, Charlie? Now, that's where you're wrong. See, that's where Eddie and I, being former athletes like we were, hold on. It all starts with the field of play. It starts with the game. You know,
yeah, we got some people sitting, but we got as many people walking as the third quarter comes to an end here in Birmingham in the 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. And it's a 21-7 lead for Alabama A&M. They're trying to make it 5 in a row in the win column in this contest. Back to Birmingham in a moment.
Years of culture and tradition have passed through the hands of those before us. It is now our duty to honor the heritage given to us and uphold it for those next in line.
We on top, never underrated. We on top, never underrated.
We will take the field, and we will be tomorrow's legends. We are the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
15 minutes left in this, the 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. And Eddie, you look pretty good there with your strutting, leading the band down the street in the parade today.
Oh, I tell you what, Charlie, that was so enjoyable. I've been to a lot of these games over the last 20 years, but to have the honor to lead the mighty marching Hornet band, Charlie, you know what kind of prestige is, how much pressure that was on me. I was practicing this for the last week, getting ready for this big day. You don't just show up and lead the band like this.
I hear you. All right. Alabama A&M, who's been to the SWAC championship game 4 times. They've won it once. That was in 2006 when they beat Pine Bluff. Trying to get back there, fumble now, first mistake, and now somehow they get it into the hands of Roger Smith, the fullback, after the quarterback had problems, Mason, handling the snap.
That's a freshman mistake right there, although he got away with it. When that ball comes and it's on the ground, you learn just to fall on it. Because after that play, after he picked it up off the ground, you'll see he almost fumbled the exchange again. See, ball's on the ground, let it go. He tried to pick it up, and if that defender would have been there one step sooner, that would have been a fumble, and Alabama State would have been right back in this football game.
Fortunately, it was Ulysses Banks who was the man on the spot. Preseason second-team all-conference selection. #1 rusher in the SWAC right now. 11th in the nation in rushing and 7th in all-purpose yards. Freshman of the year,
bringing pressure
in 2006, and they get it to Ulysses Banks. He's out in front, got a first down. Good catch from behind by Jacoby Chapman, the junior from Talladega, Alabama, number 35, who saved the day. And Chapman just turned 22 last Tuesday, and he saved a possible touchdown by catching the elusive Ulysses Banks.
Yeah, that's a great call. Here they call this a slip screen. You act like you're going to block, then you freeze them and you turn around and make that quick catch. It gives Coleman effort to run him down and make the play, but you have to know when you're blitzing, you have to also play your coverage on your way to the quarterback.
Last 7 quarters, Alabama State's defense has given up 623 passing yards in last 7 quarters. That's a lot of yards to give up in the air.
That's it. I'm suiting up. Let me go get a helmet. I want some of those free yards.
We call them free yards, huh, Jay?
Hey, when they come that easy, and they still got another quarter to go. So in 2 games, they're averaging giving up 300 yards passing the game. Yeah, I want some of that.
Well, they gave up 355 against Alcorn, and so far 268 today. So that equals 623.
And you know, that Alcorn, you know, Tim Buckley can play. He's a pretty tough quarterback to defense because he can run the ball very well, and when he's clicking on all cylinders, Buckley, he can get hot on you. He'll catch on fire.
It is 2nd down and 9. Banks and Tony Green in the backfield. So Tony Green, here's the option, and now the quarterback keeps it and takes it down inside the 40. The option to the left side.
Yeah, you look at this young quarterback, Dante Mason. You know, they started off with Kevin Atkins, who was doing a pretty good job in the first half of the year. You know, the wheels fall off the bus. But what a great find in number 11, Dante Mason, a quarterback who can step up in a game of this magnitude and play the way he has. If they go on to win this football game, you have to think that Alabama A&M may play themselves right in back into the Eastern Division race in the SWAC Conference.
They certainly have, and they're ranked 28th in the nation of the 118 FCS schools in rushing this year. Here's a pass in behind. The receiver wasn't ready. Thomas Harris, the quarterback, may have thrown it a little bit too soon, or it may have been a miscommunication.
How'd that feel? How'd that feel? Hey.
Camera operator, he was right there, right? They threw
Take a look. Look, I'm standing next to him. You see me nowhere around getting hit, see? But look, oh, what are you doing? You didn't see that coming? You've got a camera, you've got a lens that's coming right at you. What are you doing? You got to get the shot.
You got to get the shot.
Get the shot. My man, you can be my cameraman all day long.
Hey, they get the big bucks, and that's why they have the dangerous assignment. Here's the punting situation for Alabama A&M.
Hey, short, no short, no short, no short.
Fair catch called for right at the 14-yard line. So Alabama State will get to work. When we come back, 12:02 remaining in the contest, down 2 touchdowns. Let's see if they can get something going offensively.
Years of culture and tradition have passed through the hands of those before us. It is now our duty to honor the heritage given to us and uphold it for those next in line.
We on top, never underrated. We on top, never underrated.
We will take the field, and we will be tomorrow's legends. We are the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
By City. City never sleeps.
Welcome back to the Magic City Classic. And, you know, I told myself, hey, you talk about SWAC football, you're talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Aaron McNair. One of the classiest acts I've seen. The whole conference decided that each team would honor Aaron McNair's legacy by wearing the number 9 this year. Touch of class. And I always say that the SWAC football game, I got to give a shout out. Steve, I miss you, buddy.
Well, there was some classic battles between Jay Walker and Steve McNair, and both of them were in college. And, of course, the tragedy of his death this past year. And, of course, like you said, the SWAC honoring his memory by each team and each player wearing the number 9 on their helmets. We got a chance to be at Alcorn a couple weeks ago when they did a tribute to Steve McNair at Alcorn State, his alma mater. Here's Alabama State running the ball on 1st down and 10. You know, you're talking about these 2 head coaches. Both of them have Super Bowl rings going for them. Anthony Jones played with the Redskins, Super Bowl 22. They won that victory. And, of course, Reggie Barlow was with Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a wide receiver in Super Bowl 37.
Talk about that Washington Redskins Super Bowl. Of course, that was another great SWAC quarterback, Doug Williams, who participated in that. It was Super Bowl MVP.
So they both have Super Bowl rings, trying to pass on some of that to these squads. And you look at Anthony Jones and the success he's had in the years since he's been here, and you wonder, somebody hasn't really given him a great shot, possibly moving up to one of the FBS schools. There's a catch in the middle of the field at the midfield stripe, and it's a 1st down. And on the catch is Dominguez, Devin Dominguez out of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Penalty.
But a penalty mark is down, holding all the way back here by Alabama State. The only person back there is the referee, Hal Cooper. He's saying, come on back. You're the next contestant. On the penalty is right.
Yeah, this Alabama State offensive line has been pretty good today, but a holding penalty at not a very good time.
Holding. Number 77, half the distance to the goal. Replay, second down.
Aaron Wheeler, senior out of Sparta, Georgia, guilty of the infraction. This is Alabama State team that was picked to finish third in the preseason polls in the Eastern Division of the SWAC. Alabama A&M was picked to finish second. Of course, Jackson State, which has struggled up and down, they came over with a big win over Mississippi Valley last week. They were picked to finish first. In fact, I believe Jackson is off this week. They're idle. Spate. They got him. They sacked the quarterback. This is a team that has only given up 17 sacks this year, but they're going against a team that came in with 28 sacks.
Well, you know, this is the type of game where, as a defensive lineman, you're up by 14, the offense is backed up. You want to just pin your heels back and turn the corner and make big plays. Good job by the outside guys getting pressure. Then the big boys up front push the pocket, and big 92 Ronaldo Askew comes up with the sack.
And the fact that they got that in an unconventional way. Normally, A&M gets their sacks by the guys on the end bringing the pressure, but that was interior lineman that got there with the four-man pass rush. They didn't even need to blitz.
That was a loss of 6 on the play, and now they're operating deep in their own territory. Play action now. Spate, he lets it go down the sideline. Intercepted. Threw it right into the bread basket of Rico Porch.
That's okay, though. That's okay, though, because the fact is, if it is an interception, that's just like a punt.
But there's a flag down. Let's see if there's going to be interference.
That's tough to see. You know, I'm down here on it. They knew the play was coming. The coaches have to say, hey, watch the go route on the outside. Safety knew it, cornerback knew it. I didn't see any contact. I'd love to see that replay.
Interference on the defense. Number 29, 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic. First down.
Clarence Morris, the man they call for the interference. Let's see if we can see it. Where?
Well, you know, he's using that right arm, and I have to say, in all fairness to the referees, they made that same call against the Alabama State defender because he's using that right arm to bar the receiver to block his progress to getting to the ball. So you can say the ball was picked off because the cornerback didn't give him a chance to make an attempt to catch the ball. So they're calling it the same way.
And if you notice, that flag was down there a long time before the receiver got into the territory as that catch was made by Childers, but he was dropped immediately by Julius Pruitt. Pruitt said, no, not in my house.
Yeah, and that's a good tackle. I mean, number 40, Julius Pruitt, you just stops him cold. But if you're number 17, Robert Childers, you can't let one man bring you down. Come on, man. You have all this space. Make a guy miss.
Is that the one that, come on, man.
Come on, you got to make a play. Trust me, that's what Coach Barlow is saying right now as a former wide receiver. Ball on the ground.
And they fall on it. To retain possession. That is Alabama State.
You know, everybody talks about playmakers, and that's what they want offensively. And that's how you look at number 81, Thomas Harris. I mean, these guys are making plays. You can't have one guy bring down a talented receiver in space.
You know, you talked about what he was concerned. That is Coach Reggie Barlow coming into this game. And for a lot of these players, he said, the distraction of the Magic City Classic with all of the things that's going on around it, that was his biggest concern. But right now he's got a concern of being down 2 touchdowns with the clock continuing to run down, 8.5 to go. Spate throws. Where to? Nobody home.
You have a flag down late in the backfield by the quarterback.
Again, Nick Andrews, the intended receiver, but he had no chance of catching that one as the pass was way over his head.
Personal foul against the defense. Number 95, 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Ryan Christian, the junior from Enterprise, Alabama. There he is. Enterprise High.
And you're talking about big third down plays, 2 big third down penalties against Alabama A&M to give Alabama State first downs. I mean, this game could be over with if you can get them off the field and you're doing it defensively, but you can't have the penalties to let this Alabama State team sustain drives.
That's the 8th penalty for 85 yards against A&M so far today. Ball all the way out to the 30. 7-yard line. Remember, they were already backed up all the way back into their end zone almost. Here's the quarterback. Spate takes off and runs. Still on his feet. Across midfield, and he's dropped right at about the 48-yard line. Finally by Pruitt again, Julius Pruitt. And Pruitt's a little slow getting up.
Well, I'm going to have to apologize to number 17, Robert Childers, the receiver for Alabama State. I think number 40, Julius Pruitt, is a good tackler, man. This guy, nobody can run past him. Look in the open field. You're talking about good, sure tackles. You're putting that headgear right on that thigh pad, and that hurts from an offensive player when you put that headgear on that thigh pad.
Not only is he a good tackler, but he's a good open field tackler.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tackle, you can make tackles in the box, but once you get somebody in the open field, bringing them down, solid hits like that, he's a great open field tackler.
Pruitt, senior out of Bromley, Alabama, after that 13-yard gain, little play action. A little pump fake there from the quarterback, Spade. I think he wanted his receiver to run an up route. He was trying to get the defensive back to bite on it, but he wouldn't bite. As you see, number 54, Jeremy Maddox, we showed him earlier. You know, a lot of people compare him to Robert Mathis, who was a great linebacker at Alabama A&M and now still is a great linebacker in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, Maddox, man, he comes into this game 8.5 sacks, leading the SWAC conference, and also 4th in all of FCS, so he knows how to get to the quarterback, and he can do that dip and lean just like Robert Mathis does.
That's the second solo sack for him today, or tackle, I should say. This one thrown in the air, could be intercepted, and it is. Knee hit the ground, but is picked off by guess who? Who we've been talking about, Julius Pruitt. And that is his first interception of the year. The first turnover today by Alabama State.
Alabama A&M.
5:57, 6:57 rather. That's the time remaining in this one.
6:57 left in the ball game.
We'll be back. Halloween, they're still doing it outside the stadium, inside the stadium. Alabama A&M with a commanding lead. They just picked off Mr. Spate, an interception. That's the first interception he's thrown this year. And on the man who picked it off, Pruitt, that was the first interception for him this season. Meanwhile, Alabama A&M leading by 2 touchdowns, under 7 minutes to go, and they have the ball at their own 44-yard line. First down and 10. This is Banks. May have lost a shoe en route to that one. You know, when you're talking about this game, Reggie Barlow is 0-5 in neutral classic sites, including 2 losses here in the Magic City Classic. And those 2 losses total of 5 points. So he hasn't been getting beat up here, but he won 4 when he was a player at Alabama State from 92 to 95.
Yes, I mean, that has to hurt even more because, of course, this is the big game. This is the classic, the one you want to win. So to win it so many times as a player and not have that same success as a coach, I know that doesn't feel good inside.
And one of the things we do know that defense has done is kept the lids and the clamps on Ulysses Banks. They have not allowed any runner to gain 100 yards against them defensively this season. Here's Banks again. He may change that real quickly. He gets the first down and gets down to the 44-yard line. Don't forget, Tuesday night, ESPN serves Sets and Spikes. Coverage of women's college volleyball. It's Alabama A&M against Jackson State. Women's college volleyball on ESPNU Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we've got to say congratulations to the #1 Penn State women's volleyball team, who recorded its 88th consecutive match win. The 3-0 victory over #7 Minnesota yesterday. A team now tied with UCLA men's basketball team under John Wooden that won 88 straight games between the 1971 and 1974 season.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. Keeping the ball on the ground on a first down play.
You guys hear that? You hear that sound going on, Eddie?
What's that?
Charlie?
Yeah.
That's the air being let out that football right now.
Oh, yeah, well, Coach Jones, I mean, this guy's a former tight end. He played with Joe Gibbs on those Redskins championship teams. One thing they know how to do is they know how to ice the game once they get a lead.
I mean, we may not see another pass attempt from Alabama A&M for the rest of the night.
Well, why would you? I mean, you just pretty much work this 35-second clock and let the big guys run in there. You got a sure running back in Ulysses Banks, he's going to take control of the ball.
How many yards does Banks have right now?
Banks is probably around 45, 50 yards.
I was wondering if he's going to be able to get to 100 yards because he's going to get plenty of carries.
He's carrying the ball again, but he's dropped in the backfield. First man to hit him, number 22, and that was Rashard Johnson. Also, big number 98 was there on the defensive side of the ball, Noel Alfonso.
If you're Alabama State, you have to stop him in this third down conversion right here. I would expect maybe they'll run the football. It's going to be some type of conservative play call. You have to watch for quarterback draw screens, something to keep the clock moving, and also not to have any type of turnover opportunity for Alabama State.
So to bring up a third down situation. 54 yards to answer Jay's question officially for Ulysses Banks on 15 carries. And here he goes around the right side, cuts it back inside, and picks up about 3 or 4 more.
That was a smart run there by Banks. He saw daylight to the outside, and a lesser running back would have stepped out of bounds and stopped the clock, but he did a good job of staying in bounds, and once he got close to the sideline, cut it in there hard at the end. You'll see him bounce this thing to the outside. Good lead block there by the fullback, getting there to stretch him, cut inside him, and go there and keep the clock running.
Well, the Alabama State, meanwhile, calls a timeout. That should be their first timeout. They have 2 remaining. Both teams have 2 timeouts left. 3:38 is the time remaining in this, the 68th edition of the Magic City Classic. We'll be back.
Your car works hard for you. Give it the fuel it wants. The hard-working gas from Phillips 60.
21-7 our score here. I'm Charlie Neal along with Eddie Robinson, Jay Walker. With 3:38 remaining in the fourth quarter, punting situation for Alabama A&M, leading 21-7 in the contest. You think we'll see a block coming?
Tough to say because they have a pretty good return, guys. So maybe you want to make that big opportunity in the return. Here they're coming with the block. No pressure.
And there's Andrews. Nick Andrews, and he's out of bounds on the far sideline. So Alabama State gets the ball with still some time left, 3:27. The only thing is, the only points that they scored in this ball game came in the first quarter with 5:53 to go. And they've been quiet ever since.
Came out on fire and that's how you finish. And I think you guys talked earlier that Alabama State is normally a team that gets off to a quick start. So I think you got to give credit to the A&M defense of doing a good job of realizing they made a mistake early in the contest and shut them down. And this offense has just sputtered at times.
It certainly has. It has struggled this afternoon in this contest. Not indicative of a team that's averaging 20.7 points per contest, 7th in the conference. Spate decides to keep it, turns it upfield, and gets out to the 25-26 yard line. So he gains a 15 yards, 16 on the front, and picks up a first down.
And I'm sure Hornet fans want to know this, Eddie. From you're an alumnus, you played there. What's it going to take for Alabama State to get back to the top of the SWAC?
Well, obviously, you got to have players. I mean, they're playing a lot of freshmen right now. You have to get that program to a level where you can start redshirting some kids.
And this pass is complete to Nick Andrews, near side. So they move the chains again. Clock continues to run. 2 timeouts still left for Alabama State. Down by 2 touchdowns, 21-7.
I think about the things Coach Frazier has done down in Prairie View, the way he's building that program, redshirting 20 players a year, and I think that's how you get things going.
This one is incomplete, no flags. This time, the intended receiver was Childers. Robert Childers out of Selma, Alabama. You know, you're talking about the SWAC basketball tournament moving to Shreveport, Louisiana next March. The new USA Today ESPN Top 25 Coaches Basketball polls out. Kansas at the top. Michigan number 2 in the preseason poll. Carolina, the defending champs, who was number 1 at the end of last season, comes in at number 4. Kentucky, which wasn't ranked, comes in at number 5. So we're gearing up for basketball as Spade is sacked back at the 40-yard line. Loses some yards on that one. So you're a basketball fan? I know Jay is. How about you, Eddie?
Oh, yeah. You know, I watch a lot of Houston Rockets down there in Houston. But
we talk about college.
That
we
too.
don't want to see that. We don't want to see
that too.
We're talking about real basketball, where the pure players play. But you know what is so interesting about this upcoming basketball season? Duke, the only team, as they come in ranked 8th in the preseason poll. They're the only team to be ranked in this poll in the top 25 in all 13 years that the poll has existed.
A lot of consistency. I mean, but you got to expect that. I mean, Duke has been one of those programs every year. You know they're going to be right there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Quiet as kept, though, Duke hasn't been in the Final Four in a couple years now. You know, for years it was synonymous, Final Four and Duke, Final Four and Duke. We haven't heard from them lately, so Coach K, normally this is the time when a great coach starts to take over. When you start to question them a little bit, then they come out and they show you, no, I'm still the man here. And did I hear you say the #1 team in the country preseason is Rock Chalk Jayhawk?
Kansas, yes.
Rock Chalk.
They finished 10th in the final polls 2008, 2009 last year. Of course, Carolina won the national championship, beat Michigan State. And
watch out for Michigan State, though. Yeah. Those boys are back, and they got something to prove.
Yes, indeed. Spate, flag down.
That's going to be a holding call.
And he is tripped up, believe it or not. He was caught from behind by Willie Fuller, number 51. But a holding penalty again against Alabama State. And here's a team that was the 3rd most penalized team in the conference. Came in averaging 82 yards per game in penalties. You know what else? And I know, Jay, we've been following it.
On the offense, number 77, that penalty will be declined. It will be 4th down.
Is the FCS poll. And of course, the season winding down for a lot of those teams. Richmond still on top at 7-0. As you look at this holding penalty right there, there it is.
Trying to block Jeremy Maddox, so you don't get the sack, but still you force the other team into a penalty. Still a big play.
Yeah, that was Aaron Wheeler, guilty of the infraction. This will bring up a 4th down. And this is incomplete. No flag. And a good defense by Vernon Marshall, the freshman from Jackson Olin High here in Birmingham. There he is, number 6. And that ball will go over to Alabama A&M on downs with 1:50 to go. But, Jay, I was about to talk about the FCS poll. Richmond still on top, #1. They played Townsend today. Montana, you know, they're 7-0. They played Weber State. And you have Southern Illinois, Villanova. You know, only a few unbeaten teams left anywhere in this country.
Yeah, look at the way that Northern Iowa's fallen. You know, I'd like to say, hey, we saw Northern Iowa almost beat Iowa, and Iowa's undefeated getting all these BCS points, number 4 in the BCS. But what happens when the team that beat you on the FCS level starts to slide? They were number 2 in the country. Now I think they're down to number 16.
No, they're 12.
Like that.
They're 12.
Yeah, so, you know, I think that should hurt University of Iowa.
Yeah, they're 5-3. They're idle today. They'll play Youngstown State next week. Or in 2 weeks. Well, next week, next Saturday.
And then ultimately, I really do believe that Florida A&M has been they haven't been treated fairly in the FCS polls. I mean, Florida A&M is a fantastic football team.
False start on 82 to the white. Remain 1st down.
Their losses on the year are to the University of Miami and to South Carolina State.
The number 10 team.
In the South Carolina State. So when you have that happen to you, you've got to say, okay, this is a really good football team. They go 9-2 and they don't get in with those 2 losses. That would be a shame. I mean, you're talking about a very talented team. And for them not to do it, that's why I was so disappointed with the way they treat them in terms of the rankings. You can't have teams with 3 and 4 records or 3 losses up there. Let those teams emerge in the polls. Don't place them there right away.
That's a very good argument, Jay.
As you look at the quarterback decides to keep it and come to the near side and slides down.
Because you have to think, if you lose to the number 10 team in the country, and it wasn't a blowout, that was still a competitive game, then how much worse can you be than the number 10 team in the country?
That's what I agree with. You know, then you talk about the other loss was to the number 10 team in the country nationwide, nationally. So I don't like it, you know. And like there's a team like Cal Poly. Cal Poly was ranked with a 2-3 record. Now Cal Poly is a very good football team, and they're probably going to finish, you know, 9-3, 8-3, very good. But at the time they're 2-3, you don't put them in your top 20 above some teams that still have potential to be very good and haven't lost yet.
And we got to say congratulations to Henry Frazier's squad, who broke into the top 25 for the first time ever in the school's history. You know, they're number 25 right now. They're idle today.
Prairie View?
Prairie View.
Yes, that Prairie View.
That Prairie View.
That Prairie View.
I tell you what, on December 12th, there's a SWAC championship game here in Birmingham, Alabama, and the way things are looking right now, it won't be surprising if, that Prairie View, those Panthers are here in that SWAC championship game.
Yeah, you're right. And, of course, they still have to play Alabama A&M. Those two teams meet next week. Prairie View and Alabama A&M in, I believe, down at Prairie View.
Down in Prairie View. But Prairie View has a bye week, so that's always the advantage. You have an A&M team that's coming off a big Magic City Classic victory, but still they have to travel to Texas, and Prairie View sitting there with the bye week.
They just doused Coach Anthony Jones with the.
Did they get him?
Gator. Oh, they got him.
I think they missed him.
Well, I don't know. He was running. Yeah, he was pretty good.
He showed some agility. He might have gotten away from him.
The big tight end is quick on his feet. It's cold out here to be taking a Gatorade shower, man. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, they got him that time.
They didn't miss that time, man.
Well, this one is history. And congratulations. It is 5 in a row for Alabama A&M over Alabama State in this.
Eddie, I will say this. I did a survey. At least Alabama State won the halftime show.
You like the bands, huh, Jay?
Hey, Alabama State brought it now.
Deontay Mason and Afu Okeson were selected as the game's MVP. Of course, Mason gets to start as the freshman quarterback for Alabama A&M. Came in, threw a pair of touchdown passes, and had a big game for the Bulldogs. Once again, our final score, Alabama A&M wins it 21-7. For Eddie Robinson, Jay Walker, and our entire ESPNU crew, Charlie Neal saying so long from Birmingham. Don't forget, coming up next, it's Sports Center U. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com, because we are college sports. Again, so long from Birmingham, Alabama, where Alabama A&M has won the Magic City Classic 21-7 over Alabama State.